I watched Newcastle Man United. Obviously, I was at City. I haven't seen massive amounts of the games from yesterday. And to be honest, to be honest, I watched match of the day. I watched City Tottenham highlights for Liverpool Fulham, and I was going. I was like, I have to go to sleep. It was like fucking 1:30. So I watched 2 more games on the bus on the way here, and I just watched West Ham Palace downstairs now. It doesn't really hold up higher.
You just need to tighten this little bit. Yeah, so put it up to the position you want, and then twist again.
Okay. That'll probably be a bit better, won't it?
Tech support.
Yo, yes, your butt. I'm also fatigued, so I might speak quieter. Shit, he's already recorded as well. Go on then.
Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Clayton.
And my name is an absolutely shattered James. Hello everybody. What are you doing here?
I'm here because Suj has what is specifically wrong? He's got something wrong with his tooth, right?
Well, yeah, we've said. I was going to say I don't know if we're allowed to say. You've said it now.
We've said it now, so get well soon.
He's going to see the dentist today. He looks like Shrek at the moment. He's been feeling really ill with his tooth for about a week, which I know a few people are like, oh, Suj doesn't care about FPL. Honestly, he's been really struggling recently.
If you could see the photo he sent us, you would empathise.
Really shouldn't.
I really want to reshare it, but I'm not allowed.
He's a handsome bastard, I think, and he looks. Yeah.
But not right now, he's not.
No, he's making me look good this morning.
Same.
How's your weekend, Clayton?
Yeah, weekend was good. Arsenal back, well, we're still top of the league now, so...
You've won 3 games in a row for the first time this season, which is just such a mad stat.
I know, and we'll touch on it, but we actually played well, aesthetically, in my opinion.
There's a lot of people not happy you keep saying Arsenal are boring, so they'll be pleased to hear that.
Yeah, I'll double down on it. I think we've been very boring this season. But I was really encouraged by what I saw on Saturday. So, yeah, that was good. I've been missing a lot of great games this season. So I've missed your one on Sunday. I've missed City Chelsea.
I don't know if it was a great game.
No? I mean, 3-3.
I mean, when you're in it, and particularly when you're in the stadium as well, you've got the emotional roller coaster of it. So it's really hard when your own team's involved, I think, to assess. Like I said, Chelsea City the other week was amazing.
I missed that game.
There's no way that the game yesterday was as good as that.
Really?
No, okay. No way.
But even in terms of just scorelines, I've missed City Chelsea, you guys and Chelsea. I missed your game yesterday. I missed the Liverpool one, and it's like I just feel like I'm missing every single crack.
So you're here for the expert analysis, are you?
Exactly. Yes, okay, I'm here to tune in. But
I'm here, so we're all right.
Yeah, it was a strange weekend because obviously there was a lot of kind of pre-deadline. Is Watkins going to be in the team? Is he not? There was rumours about the Newcastle Man United game potentially going off or on.
No, who started that?
I saw
just because they couldn't get a flight?
Well, I saw some people saying
that Man United's excuse for that?
Well, that
abysmal performance Saturday night. Oh, they had to go on a coach like a normal people.
I've just seen, again, I didn't watch that game. I've seen summaries, watched the extended highlights and stuff. But yeah, looking forward to hearing your views on that. But yeah, it just felt like it was a bit of a chaos weekend, and I feel like it's the start of what is going to be a chaos period, right?
So when you got a chaos period, what do you do, folks? You buy Mr. Chaos. That's what I did.
Yeah, same. I bought him as well. Like his new hairstyle.
No, I didn't. Oh no, to be honest, I saw that late last night while I was trying to keep my eyes open watching Match of the Day, and I was like, I shouldn't have bought him as soon as I saw that. I mean, how much hair between Haaland and Núñez for an FPL frontline? who would be the third forward to make up the...
If he was a forward, you'd have to stick Fellaini in there, but he's not a forward.
He's not even a Premier League player anymore, mate.
Oh, you mean a current one? Oh, that has put me on the spot a bit.
Right, let us know.
Grealish. He can have a go there.
No, we're talking long area. We're looking for like a ponytail forward or something.
Who's a ponytail
Is there another
forward?
one in the Premier League that's got like a ponytail haircut or...
There must be. It's not coming to me right now, but... We'll come back to it.
Anyway, let us know. Put it in the comments or whatever. So, rare one for me in the sense I did the deadline stream on Saturday, and I always know what I'm doing. In fact, I've normally done it before I do the deadline stream, and I still hadn't decided because there was hopeful that we might get some Watkins-Bowen information. So, I knew the most likely I was going to do was Watkins to Núñez. Then the information was, we're not sure what the situation is with Watkins. Fine. I wasn't expecting anything on Bowen, but had there been information that was definitively ruled out, I decided I was going Anthony Gordon. Yeah. Purely because so many people asked me on my stream Friday, Gordon or Palmer, and I'd said Gordon so many bloody times. I was like, well, I better do it myself if I've got that choice.
Did you do it?
No, of Of course I didn't. That would be too good to be
because
true.
I was weighing up the same thing, Gordon or Palmer. And
I mean,
went
look,
Palmer.
in fairness, had I bought Anthony Gordon, I mean, I would have kept Watkins and benched Watkins. So, like, you win some, you lose some. So, in the end, I'd looked at a -8 as well, which would have been horrendous, really, because it would have been taking Son out as well to get Salah with Núñez, and I'd have gone Justin Kluivert as the third, and then readapted my team to have like a regular starting 11 and him as a first sub every week. So I was like, I don't need to do that, because breaking it down, I just had to look at it and go, right, do I think Salah outscores Son by more than 8 this week? And it's like, well, if Son gets an attacking return, like, probably not.
Very
so
unlikely.
Is it worth the 8? No. So I decided to go Watkins to Núñez. No regrets, because I think it's one of them I often speak about, like, considering the outcome.
Yeah.
And I'd thought about considering the outcome of, well, how do you feel if Núñez then goes off against Fulham and Watkins doesn't look right at Bournemouth, and then Watkins is coming into City and Arsenal, and Núñez is coming into Sheffield United and Palace, and 2 home fixtures leading me into 18. I obviously had to factor in the fact that I was up a good sort of 0.4 on Ollie Watkins as well, because I'd owned him all season. He wasn't a player I particularly wanted to sell, but I'd always been looking through the plan, and that, like, right, if I'm investing in Liverpool, it's going to be this week. It's not wait for Fulham to go. It's game week 14. Get ahead of it with potentially selling Watkins. And look, it's backfired.
Yeah. Well,
it's backfired.
For now. Like you said, it wasn't just a 1 week move, right?
I think the other thing where it was a little easier, I tried to explain this on my stream, that because I've got Haaland and Alvarez, it's an absolute certainty for me in 18 when I'm looking to buy a forward.
You'll go back.
I'm kind of, as long as he's fit, right?
What have they got again?
So they've got Sheffield United home, who the word this morning at time recording is Paul Heckingbottom is going to be sacked today. Unconfirmed reports that Chris Wilder's going back as well, which will be a popular move, I think, amongst the Sheffield United fan base.
Where is he now, Chris Wilder? Or is he
unemployed as far as I know. So he's not overly pulled up trees since he left there. And to be honest, when he got sacked there, even though they were bottom and awful in that season, they got relegated, he still felt harsh when he got sacked because of what he'd achieved with them previously. So, yeah, I think it'll be a big ask to turn that around. But they're not that far adrift from obviously getting out the relegation zone. There'll be a few now go, oh, my God, manager bounce for Salah against Sheffield United, like I wouldn't shit yourself about that. It's more a case of will they start? And I think they probably do, Salah and Núñez. So that was the opposite. It's like if Watkins is fit, I know he's playing.
Yeah.
My other thought in terms of selling Watkins this weekend was, well, if he has got a problem, then do they think, well, we've got to have him for City and Arsenal, let's leave him on the bench? I did think that was a possibility as well.
That's where I landed with it, which is why I sold him. I just thought, okay, granted there is a chance he could play. I just looked at it as surely they'll keep him for City and Arsenal. And yeah, got that wrong.
I think it's probably regrettable, because I think I've known he was a consistent, solid horse. But I came to the conclusion I'd have been more annoyed with myself if I missed this with Núñez.
Me too.
That's what I decided.
So was it you just did one free transfer then?
I just did the one free transfer, so I go into this week with just the one free. Now, I scored 60 points this week. 6 for Jamal Lascelles, who I played over Matty Cash, so it wasn't all wrong. On deadline as well, it was a really close decision for me whether I started Son or Bowen. I was so close. If I'd known Bowen was fit, I'd have gone Bowen.
Do you see an account called FPL Jan that started Charlie Taylor instead of Son this weekend?
Well, it levelled out, didn't it?
Yeah,
basically.
But like it was just more like the balls of it.
I couldn't be having that, but I think that there was a lot of case to be playing. To be honest, if you're playing Sheffield United, there's a massive case just to play your defensive players. Yeah. Like, I could look at Shimikas this week and think, I don't know, they might leave him out at Sheffield United. But it's another one. It'd be like, I don't forgive myself if I leave him on the bench for that sort of fixture, because it could easily rock up being a 12-pointer or something. So I had 6 from Lascelles at the back, blanks from Johnston, Saliba, 4 for Shimikas with the late assist for Trent. Liverpool were having their own goal of the month competition yesterday. 8 for Saka, 5 for Bumo, 10 for Son, 3 for Gabriel Martinelli, who I think we need to talk about in a minute. 5 for Alvarez, 14 for Captain Haaland, and of course only the 2 for Darwin Núñez, who nearly ripped the crossbar off with one effort. But apparently Liverpool's front 3 didn't play that well yesterday. Okay. And on a different day, I guess they don't score. They had like a lot of chances, but the 4 goals they scored
bangers,
aren't they? So on a different day, they don't score and don't get anything out of that, which which we'll discuss later on.
So where does your 60 points take you to?
I had a green arrow this week of 5,000. That's because because my rank's so good, right? That, no, I went up from 660k to 655k with 60 points. I'm most likely rolling into this week, but I was most likely rolling into last week until Unai Emery, I guess, put the frighteners up me.
Yeah.
I guess. Which there's no reason why he should have, really. So, there's a little bit of regret, but I was happy with the decision at the time I made it. I knew that I was selling someone who can return in absolutely any game. For the record, Suj actually had a pretty good week, actually.
Why do you sound so surprised?
Well, because it doesn't normally. 69 points. Stop laughing at the back. He had Trips is 12. He started Matty Cash. He started Diaby as well.
Oh, wow.
Who come on assisted. He's got away with this. But for him, he obviously kept Watkins for his 11-pointer. He also had Phil Foden's 9-pointer as well. So Trippier, Foden, Watkins. That's been the difference for him really this week. You, sir. Oh, I want to go double Arsenal defensive.
Right decision. Bad outcome.
Oh, shut up.
On another day, that Wolves didn't really create.
You concede in every home game. Right?
Yeah, I know. And this, like I said on Nima and I were doing a preview on our Arsenal pod, and I said I think the only way we'll concede this game is a mistake from us, and that's exactly what happened. But before we go into that, I'll kind of touch on my team. So I've been doing all right, since Wildcard 8. I've risen from 1.1 mil, and as of Gameweek 13, I was up to 290k. And then my decisions this week. So a bit like you. Usually I know what I'm doing, and I don't know what happened on Saturday morning. I think Friday night I was just quite tired. I was like, I'll deal with it Saturday morning.
I think the later deadline might have thrown me a bit as well. So I think if I'd have been 10 o'clock in the morning, we probably don't get nothing in the morning. I'll go early, maybe.
Yeah,
might have been a difference.
But like the whole paralysis by analysis. I fact that's the first time this season I found myself in a headspace where I was doing that. Like on Friday in the office, I literally came up to you and was like, "Oh, what are you doing with Watkins?" And was kind of thinking about it. But so Saturday morning, anyway, I've narrowed it down to a few things. One was I'm just going to keep Watkins and Eze to Palmer and roll with it. The other was I was looking at taking out Eze and Watkins for Saka and Cunha, which I bloody wish I did that now.
Cunha?
It was just a cheap forward.
They've got a couple of good home fixtures this week.
That's exactly it. I think he's like 5.6 mil. After Arsenal, I thought, like, just as a rotational 12th man, it looked all right. And obviously, he bloody scored. So did Saka. But I didn't do that. So I narrowed it down to Darwin or Isaac and Palmer in for Eze and Watkins. And I went for Darwin.
Why did you go Darwin over Isaac?
Vibes.
Isak doesn't have vibes?
No, of course. Yeah, he's a brilliant
Isak
player.
absolutely should have scored at the weekend as well, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, I think it was that short term, the three fixtures that Liverpool have, well, including Fulham just gone. I just thought I just want to roll the dice on it, and in hindsight, I probably should have gone for Isak, considering Wilson's out at the minute. Their fixtures are good. They're a very offensive team. Numbers are great. I think he's on pens while Wilson's not
Isak
around.
would be, yeah.
So that is probably a slight mistake, but like I said, it was vibes. I'm trying to have fun, but it's not fun when you get a game week rank.
I don't think it's at all, because what I kept saying about Isak, look, he's injury prone. Let's be honest about it. Super player. We love him as a potential asset. But obviously now they play Everton Thursday, Tottenham Sunday, Milan Wednesday, Fulham Saturday, Chelsea in the Carabao Cup Tuesday is a definite rotationable one. They're obviously surviving at the moment with the 11, basically, are doing really, really well. But then I keep thinking, particularly the Milan game next Wednesday, like they're going to go all out for it, aren't they? And you'd fancy them to win.
Yeah,
then it's about what PSG do, whether they land in the Champions League or the Europa League, I think. But it might even be they leave a few out against Tottenham. Or do they think, well, we can't do that against Tottenham. We'll leave some out against Everton. Or even off the back of those three, you look at the Fulham home game and think, that's attractive. Maybe they're out on their feet by the time the Fulham game comes and they go, well, we got to rotate for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't see, like, I would think, I can't see Isak playing all four of them games. That's almost my take. And I almost feel like he's definitely playing a Milan game. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start at Tottenham on Sunday, for example. And that might feel wrong, but that's almost the right one to leave him out, I think. Play Everton, play Milan, see what his reaction is. And listen, you can say I'm saying that from a Tottenham perspective.
No.
But you've got to work really hard against us as well. With Romero back, our distribution goes up like monumentally in terms of our build-up play.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a lot of chasing when you play us, whoever you are, now that he's back. So it might even be that Isak wouldn't play. Now, if you invest in Isak, you probably go, well, that's the one I'm least bothered about anyway. But my point is, I don't know the solution here with him, and that's why I wanted to wait. Almost in a weird way, I know what I'm getting with Núñez. Like I've been saying, I think he plays 2 out of 3. Like I don't think he plays Sheffield United and Palace. Well, I don't think he starts both, particularly with the Palace game being the 12:30. I suspect that because probably they didn't play well on Sunday, they probably all play again on Wednesday.
Why is that?
Well, because they've all not played well, and I think there's an idea with Núñez. I think now it's like maintain consistency and rhythm with him, and make sure if he's had a day where suddenly people are saying, he can't hit a barn door again,
give him another chance.
Let him run against the weakest team in the league, basically, and let him have a go. Although you can make a case it's not a suitable fixture for him in terms of like spacing behind. But I think Sheffield United have had some dismal home performances. Think about the Newcastle and the Bournemouth home game. What do they both have in common, Clayton? No Oliver McBurney, which does have an impact in terms of their ability to get the ball forward and for it to stick. And he's obviously going to be suspended after the 2. I presume he's a 2-game ban because it's his 2nd red card of the season. Right. Despite the fact it obviously being 2 yellows. What are you thinking for your team this week, Clates?
I think I'm just going to roll. So, I didn't actually say. I got 48 points, a whopping game week rank of 7.6 mil. So it took me back down to about 590k. So, 510k. So it's not awful, but not a great week. My only returnees were Son, Tsimikas with his assist, Bumo's assist, and Captain Haaland. But for this week, I think I'm just going to roll, to be honest. I used 2 frees on the weekend, so just want to roll with it this week, assess the landscape over the weekend, and then take it from there.
Yeah,
what about you?
Well, if you'd have asked me this time last week, I would have said the same. Then the landscape seemed to change a little bit with, I think as well, like if I'd known Jared Bowen was going to be fit, I would have just benched Watkins.
Okay.
Then I'd have been no better off points-wise, admittedly.
Yeah, but then his future setup, right?
He'd still be there, and I wouldn't be buying him back in game week 18, which is an inevitability. At the moment, I've got Bowen on the bench this week.
Who have they got again?
They're at my team, playing at FPL Derby Thursday night. And I've got Jamal Lascelles on the bench away to Everton as well. There is a rumour going around this morning that Sven Botman is about to rejoin full training, which would be alarming for those of us who own Jamal Lascelles and need him for 17 and 18, because Botman will go back in that team once he's ready. But I would throw in there and say that Lascelles' performances mean they don't have to rush it. Yeah. But it's inevitable that it will happen. And I can't help looking at it and thinking it'll be Milan or Fulham. Probably. Yeah, given the full week of full training, Lascelles probably plays Everton, Tottenham when I don't need him. Then when I do, problem. But I don't see where I pick him this week over Saliba at Luton, Tsimikas at Sheffield United, or Destiny Udogie at home to West Ham.
No, agree.
That's my three. Bowen has said on the bench, again, Saka, Bumo, Son, Martinelli, Alvarez, Haaland, Núñez. City have got problems now going into this Villa game. They may well get beat on Wednesday night. Rodri's suspended. Yep. Grealish suspended. 1 game bans, obviously. And Jeremy Doku's being assessed this morning to find out the extent of the problem he picked up yesterday as well. Sure. So, as an Alvarez owner, he's playing. Yeah. So, and it might have been one I've gone, well, Alvarez at Villa, I'm not sure. I still think I'd prefer that to Bowen at Tottenham, I think.
It's a tight
Alvarez
one.
on so many set pieces and stuff as well.
Yeah.
As seen again yesterday.
I think I'd prefer Bowen but it's a very close
Yeah,
one.
but then I also don't have the confliction, right? So I'm starting with Udogie.
Yeah.
So when it's that close, Matty Cash is sitting last on my bench at the moment as a little bit of an ongoing problem. So the only other one would be, do I play Bowen over Martinelli, mate?
No.
Do you think he starts?
Yep. I do.
Why?
I don't think Trossard at left wing is better. Martinelli's been playing well. He was unlucky not to score on Saturday. I think Arteta's going to go with more or less the same team, but the only enforced change is potentially Tomiyasu.
The other thing that did influence the going Núñez in for Watkins for me was it allows me to go Sanchez in for Turner in game week 16, because that's when Palace's fixtures get really bad, and I'm a Johnston owner. So obviously if I'd kept Watkins in, it was definite I'd be going Sanchez in for Johnston. That's fine. But actually looking really far ahead in terms of the wild card, Chelsea have a really good run of fixtures before and after our wild card in 19. The 1 or 2 weeks that Chelsea have rough fixtures, Palace have really good fixtures. Sheffield United and Burnley at home are 2, when I think Chelsea play Liverpool and Tottenham respectively.
Okay.
So I might even go with that as a pairing if I've got value held in it. So I'm going to leave that open as an option. I think the other thing for me looking into this week is there are potential issues. So I need to be aware that I've got Bumo, Alvarez, Haaland going into game week 18. Mm-hmm. But on the face of it now, if I get there with 2 free transfers, I don't mind just going -4 and going Watkins, Isak, Salah.
Yeah. And the power of what you're bringing
should kind of feel justifiable. Or even just go Watkins and Isak, or Watkins and Salah, depending on Isak's fitness, maybe, for example. Martinelli, though, does feel like he's a problem. Lascelles could be about to become a problem. Matty Cash could be able to become a problem. Now, I don't intend to start Matty Cash until game week 18, but he's also on 4 yellow cards. So, you know what the inevitability is there, right?
Yeah.
Game week 17, yellow card at Brentford. Yeah. That's how this works.
That -4 or -8.
So there's a few things I think I need to be aware of. And when I consider I'm looking at Tim going benching someone like Bowen this week as it stands, the right idea probably would be to roll again. It's worth saying as well, had I gone into this week with Watkins and Bowen fully fit and available, I would have benched Son.
Yeah, you did say.
I would have benched Son.
Yeah.
So you win some and you lose some sometimes. So it's probably a roll. I think a lot of the conversation at the moment is going to centre around, obviously we've got a load of 3.9 million goalkeepers become available. Kelleher probably made people a bit nervous yesterday. He could have done better on a couple of the Fulham goals. Nick Pope, no confirmation yet, but I would suggest an arm injury for a goalkeeper is particularly bad.
They said when he had that same injury at Burnley, it was 3 months out, right?
There is... yes, I think FPL Focal had said that.
Yeah.
There is a report going around this morning that he's likely to end this season, which sounds a bit excessive at the moment, but put it this way, he's obviously going to miss a serious amount of time. Jose Sarr obviously come off for you at yours, and Bentley went in goal. He's another 3.9.
He looked decent,
but we actually think that Sarr might play tomorrow. Oh. We think he's probably okay. So that one's an avoid. Kelleher is obviously an option. Dubravka obviously solves a potential problem for people. All I'd just say is, obviously, there's 6-7 weeks before January? Mm-hmm. They might buy. Right? So if you're looking for Dubravka to be your definitive long-term solution, and you're pairing him with, I don't know, let's say you go Dubravka and Kelleher, right, well, Allison's going to be back at some point, and if Newcastle invest in January, you're sitting there with a problem, and before you know it, because you might not have money in the bank, it's a -4 to move your goalkeeper, and that becomes shitty then. So I'd just be aware. I'd probably rather that people still went, say you're sitting there with Areola and Turner. Like if you can just go Turner to Dubravka rather than Areola to Dubravka, even if that means you'd pick Dubravka in the majority of games, even though he's cheaper, like that's fine.
Yeah.
I'd rather people still had that little bit of insurance in that case, I think.
Sure. Makes sense.
And you're thinking roll as well, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just going to roll with it.
Okay, let's talk these games then.
Let's go through it. So, Arsenal 2, Wolves 1.
Well, you were there, Clayton, so I think let's largely leave this to you, mate.
Yeah, it was good. It was really encouraging. I think I have heard that we haven't scored in the first... I'm an Arsenal fan, in case people didn't know. We haven't scored in the first 15 minutes in the Premier League this season.
Is that right?
Supposedly so. I need to check that. But
that doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right,
no.
But at the same time, I'm like, it could be right.
Keep talking. I'll look. See if I can work something out.
Yeah, we obviously went and scored 2 in the first 15 minutes against Wolves. And few things that I noticed differently this game. So offensively, I thought we were so much more fluid. Especially that first half was an absolute clinic. Like defensively and offensively, it was...
Sorry, you said clinic. I can only think of Suj. Sorry, boss.
Really, really impressive. Obviously we're on the back of a really impressive win against Lens 6-0 midweek in the Champions League, and just came into this, and I think that there's been certain games like Chelsea away, Brentford away, where I felt the technical level of the team started off poorly. Like you remember the Chelsea game, Rice gave away a pass, Zinchenko gave away a pass quite early. excuse me, it didn't really get spoken about much, but I felt like Brentford was a similar theme, and this game, it was just the technical level was just top quality from the off. And I don't know if there's a statistic that backs this up, but on the eye, it felt like the tempo was quicker and the way we were moving the ball as well. It feels like a lot of this season has been, especially in the first phase, we'll kind of hold on to the ball, wait for the opposition to kind of make a move, similar to what Brighton do, but not as quick as them. Whereas against Wolves, the tempo just felt like it was 5-10% quicker. I also noticed that we didn't play through Rice in progression and build-up as much on Saturday, and Odegaard actually dropped to facilitate a lot more. And I think that's a big factor in why we looked more fluid going forward. It was really, really good. Saka got his goal. Obviously, it was a bit lucky the way he kind of went.
The two goals you scored were great.
Yeah, and Martin. This is why I wanted to ask you your opinion on Martinelli, because I've been quite consistent on, I don't think on the eye Arsenal have looked great offensively this season. I think part of it is the way teams set up against us, and like statistically we do face the deepest blocks in Europe. That has been out there as a metric over the last few weeks. But then part of it is, like I say, the tempo. I feel like we haven't really been moving the ball with that much purpose, aggression, as we did on Saturday. And yeah, what I wanted to ask you on Martinelli was obviously the last few weeks, it's been blanks. Had he scored, like I don't know if you've seen or aware, he hit the post on Saturday.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Had he scored, do you think the general conversation around him would still be the same?
No, for me, I always thought going into this week it would be a danger to play all the 3 games. Now, I know Lons, obviously, you had the game won by half-time and strolled through it. And actually, it looks like you probably strolled through this quite a bit, really.
Yeah, second half, we really took the foot.
And therefore, the intensity level means, like, could he play again at Luton on Tuesday night
That's
or
why
tomorrow
I didn't
night?
hesitate when you asked,
Yeah, fine. So that would be part of the concern. But for me, with Martinelli, it would be you can draw up all your near misses and XGs and whatever. He hasn't scored in a single Premier League game he started this season.
Yeah.
It's 10.
Yeah, and that's where I get it. But this is where I think timing is a thing. So, you'll know, I've been avoiding Arsenal attackers, right? I'm now thinking, okay, I'm not sure the fixtures are the right time to go in, but...
No, it's not.
I saw something different on Saturday in the way we were playing, and I feel very comfortable about us offensively now. And I know it's a small sample.
So you've just gone double defensive and now you want to get offensive players?
Well, yeah, but I was never going to go double offensive. It was just more... I was going along the lines of, do I triple up on the defence? Whereas now I'm like, no, I do want one of our attackers, because I feel very confident in what I've seen.
So Saka clear front runner for you?
Yeah, he's a clear front runner.
Would you...
And Odegaard's goal was obviously trademark, right? Lovely move around the left, cut the back.
Who are you captain this week?
I've got it on Salah at the minute.
Yeah, I think that's probably number 1 choice.
Yeah, and I don't know why I hesitated. I didn't really consider Haaland away to Villa.
We've got Lee Jackson and Jonny Pringle on COTC, and we'll have it out early for you tomorrow morning. I'm recording with the guys tonight. And as I said, I think because of them City absences, I wouldn't be surprised if Villa win. But at the same time, I'm also aware that could be really wrong. And with the way Villa play, like if City get the pass right, he's going to get away, the big man up front. And he's probably quite up for it. Because he's not happy yesterday.
No, that was mental.
By the way, he keeps reacting like that. He will soon get a reputation where people stop praising him and start disliking him. He was acting like a bit of a child yesterday, in my opinion. I understand his anger, but okay, mate. Yeah, I agree. Storming off the pitch like that is not good for your teammates, would be the number 1 thing for me. Anyway, back to Arsenal. I'm interested to know, are you intending to play Saliba and Gabriel in those, obviously this week, yes, in those 3 games coming up? Villa away, Brighton at home.
I'll be honest.
In every game, and Liverpool away.
I'll be honest, I don't know, and that's not a cop-out, just because I've not future-proofed my team to see what it actually looks like with all my options.
I recommend FPL team.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. But on the face of it, I think Villa away, Brighton at home,
Who's
Liverpool
your other defenders?
Away. I've got Matty Cash, who's a problem, Simicas, and Pedro Porro.
So Porro, you're playing in all of them, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
Shimikas, certainly at least the next couple, I think.
Yeah, but this way I can't visualise what it looks like in each week at the minute. But I think out of those 3 games, there'll be a clean sheet in maybe one of them. So I am expecting us to concede in 2 of the 3, potentially all 3.
Yeah, I think when you go double defence like that, particularly when you're getting 2 players like Gabriel Saliba, don't get me wrong, they will chip in with the odd goal and the odd attacking return, but you're not getting those 2 players in specifically for offensive stuff. No. You probably need to be 1 in 2, really clean sheet wise. So listen, if they keep a clean sheet tomorrow night and then one of the next 3, okay.
Yeah. And that's what I think, like, honestly, I know people say, oh yeah, it was another goal that we conceded at home, but if you watch the game, like, it was a very controlled performance, and the only chances Wolves got came from Zinchenko brain farts. So
was there a panic after Wolves scored? Because I know you nearly scored again. Then Ketcher hit the post himself, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that was.
Was you ever concerned that an equaliser might come?
Of course I was concerned, but that's just like natural fan emotion sort of thing. But in my heart, I never felt like, oh, we're going to go and mess this up now.
Tomiyasu went off with a knock. I'm going to guess White will probably come back in at Luton, will he?
Yeah, so my prediction pre-Tomiyasu potential injury was I thought Zinchenko would lose his spot against Luton and it would be White and Tomiyasu. They'll fall back because of Luton's main threat being crosses and aerial threat. But the word, I don't know if you've seen, the word on the street is he came off with suspected calf fatigue, but he has gone for a scan today, so it could be he could be out for a few weeks.
Oh, really?
But I think we'll get that news pre-deadline.
Do you think it's a long way away? But do you think the intention when you go to Liverpool would be to play Tomiyasu at left back?
100%, 110%. Okay. Especially because we did that last year at home.
Yeah, I mean that's one for those who are looking at say Zinchenko.
That's why I said, I don't know if you saw on Slack.
Like,
I said
you're not probably wanting to play him at Liverpool, but it is during the blank you might need it.
Yeah,
it's probably a 1 point either way.
This is what I've said. I've seen a few people asking about Arsenal defenders. I would just go for the centre backs because we've only got it was 3 natural fit fullbacks. It's now potentially 2. So there will be rotation. So
what did you make of Wolves?
I actually thought before we scored they set up pretty well, and obviously they were without.
Were they an out back 3 because they have been playing with Aït-Nouri in this kind of half wing back, half winger position where it moves in structure. They moved a lot in structure against Fulham. They didn't play that well, but I like some of the structural ideas.
So against us, it looked like more of a traditional back 3, and obviously Bueno came in at left wing back.
So it was more like a back 5, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and obviously they were without Lamina and Gomez in midfield. Yep. So you have to bear those things in mind. But I was impressed with how they structurally set up. I just think it was unfortunate for them on the day we happened to click more than we have so far this season in tight spaces. So
I think probably everyone leaves that quite happy because I think from a Wolves perspective, you're 2-0 down after half hour or so. You're thinking, oh shit, our 2 best midfielders are missing as well. This could be a long day, and they've ended up staying in it right till the end.
I think this is where the scoreline flatters sometimes.
No, I get that, but they've stayed in it, right?
Yeah.
I like their next 2 fixtures. I think there's a few who might have problems who will look. Cunha, you've looked at.
Yep.
Hwang is obviously doing pretty well. I think Bellegarde is a really cheeky enabler one to consider. I think defensively now, if you wanted to go in for the next couple, now that he's got over the suspension, it's probably Craig Dawson for the next couple. Yeah. I think I wouldn't be keen on taking much of a chance on the others. Kilman doesn't offer much offensively. Toti Gomez could be under threat of his place, but again, doesn't offer as much offensively. Semedo should be fine and safe for the moment, but again, with the amount of fixtures, could they go, we'll play Doherty in a game over this period? Like, it's possible, isn't it? So, it might be one where there's a couple of enablers fits in. I don't hate that. The next 2 fixtures are good, but they've probably got the best of the next 2 game weeks, arguably.
That's why in hindsight.
With Burnley and Nottingham Forest at home. Ironically, Burnley now looking better, Nottingham Forest not so much, as we'll discuss next.
Yeah. Anything more to add on that before we move on?
Nope, that's me, happy.
Nice one. So, Brentford 3, Luton 1.
So, only the assist for Boomo owners.
Yep.
And possibly a little bit fortuitous to get that, in the sense that it's obviously taking a deflection from Ben Mee's header, but I think that's correct. They lost Christopher Aguerd in the build-up, so they've essentially played with 2 midfield players in the full-back positions in a back 4, with Saman Ghoddos playing on the right side and Vitaly Janelt played as a left-back. As per usual with Brentford in these fixtures, it's a back 4, and with the games coming up that will certainly, I would imagine he'd play a back four at Sheffield United. It probably becomes a back three again at Brighton on Wednesday, I would think. So Maupay, I would probably doesn't start at Brighton, but probably does at Sheffield United. And longer term, that makes him quite interesting because he's going to play the fixtures that you'd want him to play.
Yeah, okay. How much is
rather
he?
than the more difficult ones. It's worth saying, obviously, Visser and Bumo both go to AFCON. So over that period of January and then early February, he may have to play anyway. I'd also be aware, as I've said previously, that I think they might go back in for, we know they had a big interest in, say, Bakayoko from PSV Eindhoven, who can play on the right-hand side. So I think they may look for an attacking player in the January window. Luton doing Luton things, which is staying in the games and not being walloped. They ended up playing with Issa Kabore at right wing back because Alfie Doughty missed out. Tahith Chung played on the right wing. What would be more alarming and concerning, considering who they're playing next, Clayton's team. Tom Lockyer obviously went off at half-time, and they also lost Mengi as well. Okay. So they might be short at centre-back. Lockyer is very important to them because essentially he's the conductor of what they do from an organisational perspective on the pitch. That's not to mean or to say that Arsenal will slap them tomorrow night, but it will not help. I don't see you going there. I keep saying there probably will be a game at some point where they do get beat heavily.
I don't think it'll be tomorrow.
No, I agree. I don't think it will be tomorrow, which probably come back to Arsenal. And we said about who you captain this week. What would you say to people who've not got Salah and say got Saka versus Haaland, like I've got?
Honestly, I don't mind it, Saka. Although I'm saying I don't think they'll get slapped. I think, like I said, what I saw from us offensively and Odegaard getting more involved in the second phase, and because all season he's been in the final line. He's basically been a striker, whereas I think he's better when he arrives there and gets involved. So I think that helps Arsenal offensively a lot more. So I don't hate Saka as a captaincy away at Luton.
I'm not keen. No, I'm not. I think if I decided not to go with Haaland this week, I'd probably go Sonny.
Yeah.
Just with a home fixture, the momentum, I don't think West Ham are in their best moment. We'll have so much of the ball. He'll find space difficult, but if we create chances, he's in the position where he's going to get the chances.
I think I would go Son instead of Saka.
I think Sonny over Saka. At the moment, even though I think City might get beat on Wednesday, I've got enough understanding that could be wrong and City could easily go over the top against them.
At the minute, yeah?
I think so. Cool. I think so. I think the moment for buying Brentford has gone, but for those who've obviously gone on Bumo, there's obviously still two good fixtures coming up. Brighton have conceded in every game, so that's fine for Wednesday night. And then Sheffield United Saturday, even though it's away, is great. And then I think there's a decision to make for people whether they want to sell Villa or sell in the blank, or whether you're going to hold through because of the two fixtures afterwards are good as well. FA Cup draw yesterday, by the way, does give the City-Brentford game, I think, a little more of a shot again, maybe. But if we haven't got anything by the end of this week, it's not happening, I don't think.
Remind me, what week would that have been?
So it'd be game week 20, City-Brentford. Okay. We think now, possibly looking at Thursday, January the 4th. So the scheduling of FA Cup games, which might come first, could have an impact. So if suddenly you start seeing, City Huddersfield, which probably won't be a TV pick, but could still be moved to the Sunday, because they like to shove a load of games to Sunday for overseas broadcast, of which, guess what, Manchester City may be of interest. Suddenly if you get, say, City and Brentford have both been scheduled to the Sunday, and you think that's random, it might be to help put the City-Brentford game on that Thursday in game week 20.
Okay.
But I think if we don't get anything this week, we go sort of sub 20%. It's 50-50 now at this stage, I would say. No interest in investing in Luton, unfortunately, at the moment.
Cool. Next up, a whopping 5-0 victory for Burnley against Sheffield United, which has probably been the end. Well, it has been the end of the Sheffield United manager.
Well, it's not official yet, is it? But I think it's coming today.
Yeah.
But the Shrewdies, there's a few have gone early and said it's done. So, and again, that's at time of recording.
What I don't know is what minute was the red card? Did that have any impact on the game?
It was a 2-0,
okay.
Not long before half-time. I think he's a little bit unlucky, McBurney, with the second yellow, but I think the first one was bad.
Okay.
It was orange.
Okay.
Was orange, so to couple them together, I think Yeah, it's an unusual one to get done for the same offence twice. I think, let me put it this way. On the first one, if he'd got a red card for that on the pitch, it wouldn't have got overturned, I don't think. No, sure. I don't think so. And he will be a massive miss for those 2 home games. I cannot emphasise enough. Oliver McBurney being missing for Sheffield United is negative for them defensively.
Yeah, no.
Because he's an out. Yeah. So the pressure just comes back.
Makes sense,
so when they have to go direct, it's just coming back.
Yeah.
He feeds, absorbs, he wins free kicks. Yeah. He wins so much stuff aerially. It will have a massive negative impact on them for the next 2 games. Baldock, by the way, went off injured after about 25 minutes. I did say, I mean, he's fine, right? He's 3.8. But obviously, anyone who gets an injury at this point for like 2-3 weeks is missing 5-6 games. I think we're probably at a stage, though, and unless this changes, if Chris Wilder or someone else comes in and fixes it up, I wouldn't be playing him in any game. That was what I was saying. Oh, well, it's Burnley. I want to play him. I wouldn't play him.
Yeah, you said the same about Archer as well. I remember we had the conversation about Taylor v Archer.
I'm beginning to feel that way as well. I mean, Semenyo's really putting his arm up to be a far better call than Archer if you're investing new in an enabling forward. So I just wouldn't want to play him.
Are you still a Charlie Taylor owner?
I've never been a Charlie Taylor owner.
Why did I have that in my head?
It was a couple of years ago. And Matt Lowton. I'm getting a very lucky Matt Lowton 14-pointer off the bench. Yep. Very random. No, it was a single game week.
Oh, was it?
A couple of years ago. Same day Nuno Santo got sacked, actually, if you want that for a bit of info. What I loved about this was Burnley's goal was old Burnley.
Okay.
So it's 15 seconds in. They go direct from a goal kick, which actually, despite the way they want to play, they do normally do. And they win 3 50-50 tackles, which are all pathetic from a Sheffield United perspective, by the way. Start the game, and they're soft 50-50s. And the Burnley play 1, 2, 3. Get through them all. Great cross from Taylor, old school. You're going to Turf Moor. What's going to happen? Ball's coming into the box. It's a really good header, and then
that is not what I associate with the modern Burnley.
I mean, their other goals weren't like the second goal. Man, it's so bad from Sheffield United's perspective. They are. I've said it a few times, even though I think they may have gone bottom now, haven't they? But even when they got themselves to 18th, I was like, I'm clear in my head they're the worst team, unfortunately. For Burnley, really good for them. Will give them a little bit of confidence, and it wouldn't then shock me if suddenly, even though Wolves have been in good run, if they go to Molineux and win tomorrow, and have a little bit of a spring in their step. Also consider for something like that tomorrow and go, well, Burnley have managed to stroll through this and had a very easy game, whereas Wolves have had to chase shadows for a lot of the game at the Emirates, right? So fatigue levels could hit in something like that. So Burnley played with Larson on the right wing. Goodmanson was a little bit of a doubt because he'd not trained most of the week. It does look like it was more of a 4-4-2. They had been playing Amdouni a little bit more withdrawn. It looked like, from what I've seen of it, and it's not a lot, it was far more in partnership with Jay Rodriguez, which is understandable in a fixture like this. Okay. They seem to have completely abandoned the setup with Josh Cullen playing as 6, and now they've got this partnership building with Berger and Brownhill, and it's just feeling a little bit more threatening and controlling. They will still concede plenty of goals, but actually that Larson change, I think it was the first time they changed the team in 3 or 4 games.
Okay.
So begin to get a bit settled. That's a positive.
Yeah.
That's a positive, and I wouldn't... They're still the one. I think there's something about them. They might well add a couple of players in January that will assist the team as well. I don't write them off.
No,
I don't also think, oh my God, they've won 5-0, they're going to fly up the table. But I'd be keeping an eye on them. Again, another one from the fantasy perspective. Can't see what the interest would be. For those who played the likes of Charlie Taylor this week, like, well done. Yeah. And crack on, and it's going to sit third on your bench, for the majority of game weeks.
Yeah, fair play. And then on to the next one. Forest actually lost a game at home. 1-0 Everton. They lost their last home game as well, Clayton.
Yeah,
true. I forgot about that. They've lost 2 on the...
So Fortress City ground is over.
Yeah, it's finished.
And by the way, if they play like they played on Saturday night...
Was it bad, yeah?
Yeah, they were horrendous.
Okay. But yeah, credit to Everton, though, like especially everything that's been going on there.
Yeah, Everton were the better of 2 shit teams, to put it nicely, but also thoroughly deserved victory. But part of the thoroughly deserving victory was that just Forest were really bad.
So what was so bad?
Well, it's interesting because Mark Southern's obviously come on COTC with Sean to preview the game last week, and it's not the first time he's made me kind of raised my eyebrows. So he came on before they played Burnley in Gameweek 5. He said, we're going to change now. We're going to start being a bit more offensive. And they did, right? Started playing a back four more often and stuff. And since then, they've tried to be a bit more adventurous, but only won once.
Okay.
He comes on last week and he's like, I'm worried. To the extent to say, and it took me a bit surprised to say...
Was this pre-Brighton or post-Brighton?
After.
Okay.
To the extent to say that he thought that if Everton went bad and then the next couple, then Cooper would be under real pressure.
Damn.
And we had a really interesting debate about, and I think this does possibly, it's something to consider for other teams around about that area, he's obviously done an amazing job, right? He took them, when they were 1 point from 7 games in the Championship, stabilised it, got it promoted, kept them up last year. They're not in trouble at the moment. You're probably looking at them as it stands as probably going to finish 15th or 16th as it stands, but they're, 6 points clear.
And you think with the amount of investment as well, right?
And the case I was making to Mark was that if they want to try and change the brand of football, like you can get away with it at the moment.
Yeah.
You can take chances and see the problem in it because if you just maintain 1 point per game,
you're fine.
It's going to be enough this year.
Yeah.
So they've got a buffer. The problem is, I'd seen signs in games where I thought, like, say, Brentford at home, I thought like they started the game really well that day. Then it went a bit flatter. But on Saturday, it was just completely flat. What? Never thought they were going to score at any point in that game.
Why is that, though?
And the tempo when they went behind, and I've been there and the atmosphere's good, right?
Yeah, the atmosphere's really good, though.
The tempo just wasn't there. So you're looking at them at the end of the game and you're going, and I realise you don't just want to thump it in the box against Everton because you've got your Tarkovskis and your Branthwaites who just want to head it all day long. And they defended really well, by the way, those two particularly. But there was no emphasis to, right, let's get it into the wide areas. Let's take people to the byline. Let's overload in areas. It was all just passive and slow. And Everton just sat there and went, what you got?
Can deal with that.
What you got? And it looked just as likely that Everton would break away and score a second.
And is that how So how did Everton score? Was it a breakaway goal? Or?
No, so cross from the right-hand side from Harrison. He's a little bit unlucky not to officially get the FPL assist. And McNeil has time to take a touch on the back post. And he buries it far top bin. It's a great finish. And it was deserved. Because I think the better moments in the game came from Everton. McNeil had an effort cleared off the line by Murillo.
I saw that
in the first half.
Really good clear.
So Everton were deserving victors. That's 3 away wins in a row for Everton. We definitely should have an awareness that Forest are there to be attacked, I think, at the moment. I look at things like Forest playing Bournemouth in 18. This is quite important because a lot will be looking at that fixture because you make a case of green fixture for both, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to go, you want to go in and invest, you could. At the moment, the way Bournemouth are playing and the way Forest are playing, Bournemouth will go there and win. Wow. And you'd be more interested in picking up a Solanke, a Tavernier, a Semenyo or a Kluivert than investing in a Forest that are clearly missing their talisman in Taiwo Awoniyi.
Is it time for me to...
Gibbs White.
Is it time for me to admit defeat?
What fixtures they got between now and 18? It's still a good run.
It's Fulham.
My team in 17.
So just go in order. They got Fulham away, Wolves away, then your team, Spurs at home, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Man United.
Do you know what? It's not as good as it looks.
Nah. And like I said, when I first bought in, I know I've been a bit of a Gibbs White meme, but when I bought him in, it was just 90 minutes. He's on pens.
I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think they will, right? But I wouldn't be shocked if they lost all 4 of them games.
Nah, neither would I.
There'll be underdogs in the next 3.
Yeah.
Away at Fulham, away at Wolves, home to Tottenham. If they play like that against my team, they get annihilated.
Yeah.
Because it's just so passive. So, like, movement off the ball and stuff, you get destroyed.
Too static, yeah.
Bournemouth at home, they'll be favourites. But the way Bournemouth is obviously confidence is growing through that football club now. Neil Grover's on COTC Wednesday. We'll talk about that a bit more. So we'll talk some Bournemouth assets then in terms of looking forward in the next few weeks because I think it's coming back round for them. Forest, you wouldn't invest in, no. Like, you wouldn't buy a Gibbs White now. No. Someone asked me on a deadline stream about it, and I couldn't get you out of my head, and I was thinking, I fucking hate that, honestly. And he stuck out on the right wing. He did have a decent effort in the first half, and he pulled it near post wide. He should have done a bit better, really. But his involvement in the game is not quite right. No. I think he picked on a real kind of talisman status. I know Awoniyi scored a lot of the goals at the end of last year, but Gibbs White was beginning to give the vibe like he was going to begin to carry this team as almost like a leader.
It's not quite panned out.
Well, it ain't going to be, if he's going to be shunted out on the right, what they want to do He's getting back to 10, get Alanga and Hudson-Odoi in the wide positions and play Wood or Origi as an out-and-out 9. That's what they really want to do. Yeah. But guess what that also does? Makes them vulnerable. Yeah. So they're hitting a halfway house where they're not sure, and you'd be a bit concerned.
To your earlier point, is this not the time for them to experiment in a league like this, where the bottom 3 are probably...
But then if they lose their next 4, as an example...
they're in the conversation.
Then they're in the conversation,
Fine line.
Right? Because in between that, a Burnley and an Everton are going to start putting some pressure on, maybe Luton as well. Maybe Sheffield United, manager bounce. Start putting some pressure on. Then if they're looking over their shoulder and you get into halfway through the season, you're going, well, we're only 3 points clear of this. Oh, and one of the teams below us actually should be about 10th or 11th in the league, which is Everton, which I think that's where they would be with the point deduction. Their underlying numbers are good. They obviously know the task is at hand, and they're going to stay in trouble for quite a while. But the 3 away wins, that's impressive. Palace, West Ham and Forest, right? You'd look at all 3 of them. It's 3 difficult away games then. Even the City would be delighted to get 9 points out of that. Yeah. They should be as well. Now, if they can transfer that, start getting some good home points, nice. The caveat with them is fixture run is rough. Yeah. Who have they got in? So it's Newcastle, Chelsea, Tottenham, is it? Next 3? Or there's one in between, isn't there?
Newcastle, Chelsea, Burnley, then Tottenham. And then
Where's
City.
the Burnley game? Is it Turf Moor?
Burnley's away. Yeah, at Turf Moor.
Okay. Interesting.
Newcastle and Chelsea at Goodison.
With Everton, though, I'm really, really convinced they'll pick up points that you maybe don't expect.
Yeah, I always feel that way about them. Yeah.
Like, let's put it a different way. They play Newcastle this week, and there's no Pope. You think Everton ain't going to put Dubravka under a world of pressure. Yeah. And Dubravka's a decent keeper, but they're going to test it.
Even Chelsea. I think they'll give Chelsea a game. You're not as convinced.
I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they came to my play. Their away record's been so good. I would almost say, for example, we got Forest in 17, and we got Everton at home in 18. Everton, I would say at this moment, would be just as likely to get signed off as Forest would be my take at the moment. Okay. So maybe we should begin to get concerned about Forest. Jared Branthwaite is a decent 5th defender to have for as long as, but there's never many opportunities to play it, I don't think. Like you're never going to be brave enough to pick him like Forest away, and you're not brave enough.
Though, their defensive numbers are actually pretty impressive.
But their offensive numbers have been good. And all them, I know there's been a lot made about their home record being bad, but they could easily have 3-4 home wins on the board as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I think nearly all of us think that Everton will be fine. Yeah. And there was no Calvert-Lewin, and we do think he'll be available Thursday, is the word at the moment.
Cool. Right, the final game of the Saturday ones before we move on to Super Sunday. Newcastle 1, Man United 0, and a little birdie tells me it could have, should have been a few more. Oh. Where do you begin with that?
Jeez. Let's begin with Newcastle, because it could just be an hour chat about how bad Manchester United were. Newcastle were very good. It's an absolute bear pit when you go there. Yeah. You are going to face...
I've experienced it.
I was having an interesting conversation with Dad when we was travelling up north yesterday about... They can't quite play in away games, Newcastle, like they'd want to play in home games, because almost the intensity can be a little bit counterproductive in terms of raising the atmosphere of the opposition. Yeah. It's strange.
No, it makes sense.
But in home games, I think some players can get there and they just sink under it. Because I know they cheer when they win throw-ins and stuff like that. Yeah, but they're with the team. Yeah. They galvanise it. The team is obviously in a position where it's got a horrendous set of injuries at the moment. I think there's a halfway house behind saying they got a shitload of injuries and actually looking at the first 11 and going, right, so bar, Botman, and maybe a central midfield player, you could argue they've been putting the best team on the pitch. Yeah. Maybe Dan Burn as well, a little bit. Okay. But Livramento has been playing so well.
To have that to the extent you after his
next England squad, have a look. Yeah. Could he play left back for England? Not ideal. And I think it's, again, credit to Eddie Howe, who's been doing an amazing job, that I think there was an assumption, Trippier's going to have to play left back. Yeah. And I think he'd realised, I'm almost losing both fullbacks, because you're moving the brilliance of Trippier. It's not that he can't, let's say the assist for Gordon at the weekend. It's not like he can't do that as a left back, but it's not the same. No. It's not the same. So he's gone, well, I don't want to lose almost both of my fullbacks. Let's see if we can get Livramento into a good state to play left back. His adjustment's been great. He's obviously been coached very well as well. And he was great. He would have been a shout for man of the match on Saturday.
To come back from an injury like that at that age, to perform at the level he is.
He had a setback along the way of that as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, those of us who owned him when he was at Southampton a couple of years ago knew what a brilliant prospect he was, and I think he's showing it at top level now. So that 11 deserves massive credit. You can say, okay, it's not far from the best 11, but it's got no bench at the moment. No. Even I would say Tottenham's bench yesterday looked stronger than, say, Newcastle's on Saturday night. There's nothing there. The young boy Lewis Miley, it was my first proper look at him.
Verdict?
Very good.
Yeah.
The size of him, you don't realise it till you watch him live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... I was going to say he might suffer a little bit like Steven Gerrard in terms of injuries for a few years.
Just while he's growing, or...
But he already has.
Yeah, true.
It's now probably filling it out in terms of strength, conditioning and stuff.
What type of
He's
profile
elegant on the ball.
Is he? Because I've not seen much of him. I've just seen the highlights.
Very composed, links. I think he knows what he is at the moment, which is like not the best player in the team. And he makes the right passes and the right decisions at the right time. He knows when to release. He knows when to hold. He doesn't look out of place. I mean, the best compliment you could say is you keep saying he's 17, but you keep saying it because he doesn't look out of place as a 17-year-old. If you got told tomorrow that guy's 23, you wouldn't think no different of it, and you'd go, he's not out. He doesn't look like a weak link or anything, right?
Sure.
Doing really well. And the stamina levels at that age, you'd expect a kid at that age to be like suffering badly with cramp with the way they play and stuff. No. Really, really good. So he's covering really well in there. We do think with Longstaff and Willock, the injuries aren't bad. As said, Botman could be back in full training this week. So I would think, and it's going to be so annoying for the sales owners, you're probably looking at a game week 17 return maybe.
Yeah.
I think. So it's a wait and see. There's no point. I saw one of our patrons this morning said, oh, when's Eddie Howe's press conference? Listen, that shit's useless to you anyway, right? So whatever. Let it be what it'll be. They were brilliant. Really, really good. As much as United, we're going to give Manchester United a bit of grief now. They were good. So they can beat anybody there. Gordon scored in every home game.
Has he?
I think, yeah. Well, every home game he started, I think.
Okay, wow. He's doing really well.
He's doing great. It's worth saying they'll try and antagonise him Thursday night. He's going back to Everton, isn't he? He's going to get booed badly. Now, he has got an agitable side to him, I think.
Okay.
Where
you think he could nibble?
Listen, he might rise above it and win the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Sure.
Like, it's one you'd look at now and go, he'll get booked.
Yeah, okay.
He'll get booked. And he might also score the winner as part of that. He might... Listen, again, he's working under Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe will be absolutely in his ear giving him the right advice.
Yeah.
But you might
human.
get lost in a moment, right? And I think there is a feeling there from his perspective that perhaps not his side of the story was necessarily heard. But the Everton fans really unhappy with the way he left, right? Yeah. So something to watch out for in that game Thursday night. I think from their perspective at the moment, it's probably the same team. And then because of the 5-day turnaround, then going into Tottenham, you just reassess and see what the bodies are. I tweeted Saturday night and I said, I think they'll probably go over that 5-game period where it's all so close together. They'll literally go into a state of play, recuperation, play.
Reassess, yeah.
They won't even train. Yep. Do some bit on set pieces and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Well, I mean, we'll train, but not...
Nothing intensive, yeah.
You're not going to be playing 11. I mean, got 22 players to play an 11-side match, but I don't think they'll be training with like a full-on intensity. And obviously, the way they play is with it. But if you're asking them to do it at the moment, you're just going to get more injuries, I think.
Yeah.
So you might get them play a little bit differently in some of these forthcoming ones. The next 4 league games, there's only one at home, which is Fulham, right?
Yes.
So even that is 3 days after Milan. You might find the intensity is not to its normal level. The atmosphere might not be to its normal level because it's 3 days after playing AC Milan. It's just Fulham. It is a psychological thing. It happens to football fans as well. So I think with one of the big things on Nunes over Isak for me was when you put this all together, it's like, let me wait. Let me make sure I'm on the right side of this because it's 17 and 18 that interests me most. I wouldn't be shocked if they got turned over at Everton on Thursday night, despite how good that was, because they're going to get the reverse at Everton on Thursday.
I'm very intrigued.
And I'm sure they'll deal with it, but yeah, try and watch the game. I'll be at White Hart Lane, so I won't be able to. I might try and catch the opening 20 minutes or half hour or so.
Even before you go on to Man United, I'm intrigued to watch Newcastle Tottenham. I think that'll be a really good game.
I think, by the way, one to consider for those who've already got Gordon, and might be sitting there, well, I'm not happy with Diaby over coming weeks and stuff. He's probably not getting spoken about because he's more expensive than Gordon. He's Almiron. I think he's an interesting one over this period. I think.
Why?
Keep an eye on, because he's very capable of returning and hauling. It's in his makeup. He can do it. We've seen it now.
Yeah.
He should have scored at the weekend.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, they're doing really well.
To his place there, no?
Trippier is a definite hold if you've got, by the way. It's like every week. Those who've got, like, I can find some money by selling Trippier, and every one of us who doesn't own is like, how am I getting there?
Yeah.
So definite hold. Lascelles owners need to wait. Livramento owners is now looking a positive. At this minute, you'd now buy Livramento over Lascelles. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in Dubravka, and I get it. Perfectly understandable. Just reference what we said near the start of the podcast.
Yep.
And again, if you've got Isak, it's a definite play Thursday night. You could make a case he's part of the captaincy discussion if you fancied him Thursday night, maybe. I wouldn't captain Gordon.
No.
I'm obviously open for a red card because, get suspended against my team for the weekend. Yeah, of course.
Right, is it time for you to talk about Man United? So I saw...
I looked at the clock then just to see how long we've been talking.
Yeah, how long have you got? So before you start, I saw a tweet from you about a certain Marcus Rashford. I saw a lot of clips doing the rounds. You've mentioned it. You mentioned it before everyone jumped off him early in the season, saying you just saw something was off. And I want to say it was around like a, in air quotes, easy run, fixture-wise.
Yeah, I took a -4 to sell him in the middle of their really good run.
Yeah.
I'd seen enough.
So
that was after they'd won at Burnley, and his underlying numbers weren't bad that night. I'd seen enough.
Yeah.
I again think that he might be carrying an injury. I said that at the start of the season, in as early as sort of game week 2-3. It was like, something's not right here. But that at the weekend was...
You used the words pathetic in your tweet.
Yeah. It's very, very rare that I would come out and I think go for an individual player. But you've obviously then seen the outpouring of everyone else has done the same afterwards. Listen, I got a lot of love for Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, for everything he does off the pitch.
Yeah, off the pitch. And I got a lot of love for him as a footballer as well. There is a case to say that some might say, well, it was an intentional tactical for Rashford to let Livramento go and therefore he's playing on the counter-attack. There's two things that tell me that's not the case. The first is that in the first half, he did try and track back on a number of occasions and he was miles off it. There was one occasion where Livramento tried to keep the ball in play and knock it out for a throw-in. And Rashford was on a full-on sprint to get back. So it definitely wasn't under instruction to let him go. The second is he's obviously got hauled off the pitch with half hour to go, with it going very, very badly for them.
Yeah.
This was as one-sided a 1-0 game you could, in terms of the quality level between the two teams. I know there's a lot of United fans like, well, our run's been good. Why aren't people talking about it? The reality is, you keep beating shit, it's fine. You're also the biggest club in the country, so people will come for you when you're bad. But if you look at, say...
It's the performances in those wins, though. They've not been good enough.
I was exactly just about to use the reference of my team and say, if you look at Tottenham's performance, people are going, well, Tottenham might lose 4 in a row, and we're still going, we're all right. Because of how we're playing. You're looking at them going, I don't see nothing here. I don't see nothing. Even at Everton last week, how they got through the last 20 minutes of the first half without conceding, beyond me. Yeah. They've ended up winning it comfortably. And again, you go to Goodison, you win. It's a good result. And I wouldn't say they showed a lack of fight at Goodison. But the thing is as well, he's a star player, Rashford.
Yep.
And if you got a boy like Kobe Mino, right? It's 18, he's playing in the team. He does look good. I think he got a bit overwhelmed on Saturday, but he is a really good talent.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say he was terrible, right? Most of his teammates were. But he's probably looking at someone like Rashford going, have you let that go? Like, there's 3 or 4 instances you can clearly see he's gone, fuck that.
Yeah.
Now that... You go somewhere like Newcastle and do that as well. There's only one result. You got Bruno goes into business for himself again.
Yep.
In terms of his going and pressing. There was an interesting battle of 3v3s in the midfield. And basically, Fernandes' task largely was Guimaraes. McTominay with Joel Linton and the 2 kids, which was really nice to see, largely Mino and Miley up against each other. But United swapped it about quite a bit tactically, where Fernandes would drop off shorter and McTominay would go beyond, and then they'd swap and take responsibility on Joel Linton and Guimaraes. Part of that is they just don't want McTominay on the ball.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're at that stage, get a footballer in the team you are comfortable with having on the ball and play Bruno Fernandes close to your top man and let it stick there, and you'll get the best out of multiple different parts. That bit, for me, is on the manager.
Agree. Yeah.
It's on the manager or on Raphael Varane why he's not playing. No one can tell me United won't be better off with Raphael Varane playing. And yet, the two centre-backs, Maguire, and actually I think particularly Luke Shaw, played fine and defended at times fairly heroically. That is not going to be the long-term solution for Manchester United. Their team looks weaker than it looked in January.
Yeah.
That's also because a lot of very good players like Rashford are just not performing at the moment.
I just don't see any progress tactically in any style.
Here's where they're at. And to be honest, we could probably have this discussion every week for a really, really long time, because I had this discussion a month ago. With Ten Hag, and I've already spoken about it, that says to me some of the players don't want to play for him.
Yep.
If he's lost the dressing room, I know people are changing again, won't change nothing. The club's done at its core. I know that. But if they're not playing for the manager, you're wasting time. If you want to back the manager, you need to massively overhaul this team and show the same patience that his team showed with Arteta. And that means you're going to go through some more pain before you get on the right end. And they need to get all these personalities out the club who, if you don't want to play for him, go.
Yeah.
So United should be at a stage, if they're going to put their foot down and say, right, we're back in Ten Hag, and Marcus Rashford's going, I'm not having this, don't want to play for him. Sell him. Sell him. That will be the right way forward for Manchester United.
They won't do it though. You're right. That's the way to do it, but they won't.
But then he's on massive wages. You're only looking at the elite clubs, and no elite club would look at that performance and go and buy him.
No.
So now listen, Wednesday night it's Chelsea. It's a big game. I'm sure the crowd will be up for it. Mm-hmm. They might win. They might play well. I do not see them being in contention for the top four. There's no way they catch the top three. And if I look at them two teams at the weekend, there's not a chance in hell they finish above Newcastle, even if Newcastle get more injuries. Because I'd have way more faith on Newcastle to pull out the right type of results.
Yeah.
So they've now got this psychological barrier of this record against top half teams.
It's bad.
And there's more coming, even like Chelsea's top half.
Specifically in away games as well.
Top half. Massively in away games, yeah. But like Brighton have won there at home. They've got all these teams to play at home still. All of them. So, and you could even say Brighton at home, and I know Brighton's fitness situation was much better then. Brighton at home is not like a terrible fixture in terms of trying to get a result, because you know you're going to get chances. Brighton obliterated them.
Yeah.
So there's one good team's played at Old Trafford and beat them comfortably. They've also lost at home to Palace. So they beat the majority of the shit, but they lost to Palace, and they lose to anyone that's half decent, basically.
Yeah.
It's where they're at. And I know also they've got their own injury issues.
Yep.
Lisandro Martinez is the only one, though, that I look at the moment and think that's a massive miss. It's the only one.
Yeah.
I could go on for a lot longer about them. And Gary's on COTC this week, so we'll see what he says. That's going to be out on Wednesday. We're obviously doing United Bournemouth, but we're doing it Wednesday because they're both playing Wednesday night, so we'll get more on United there. Sure. I suspect Gary is going to rip them. He normally does anyway, even when they're playing
even when they're good, he does. Yeah. Right, so that was all the Saturday games, and then it was a thrilling Super Sunday, which started with Bournemouth 2, Villa 2.
Brilliant Super Sunday, but Sky still picked fucking West Ham and Palace.
They picked the worst game. Yeah, literally couldn't make it up. But yeah.
Don't worry, it's not like there's another West Ham 2 o'clock coming up soon. Oh, wait.
I know. And
there is.
Is that when Arsenal play Brighton, right?
Yeah, Arsenal playing Brighton and Sky picked West Ham versus Wolves. I'm just making you aware now.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it was a Desmond 2-2 and Bournemouth Villa, and many, like both of us, sold Ollie Watkins, and he's come out with a flipping double-digit haul. So.
I mean, we was obviously heading up to Manchester, and Ricky Saunders said, "Ricky, I love you, pal. Thank you for getting me home and getting me to Manchester." We'd obviously both sold Watkins. As soon as you see he's in the team, it's like, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
Because he's such a consistent horse that I don't think the fixtures matter so much. He's perfect. And for those who've held, you probably are at a stage, because if you look at, even if you're wild card in 19, and actually they play United away in 19, like, don't fear that shit.
No.
Villa's fixtures are good going through January, February and stuff. He's a stick. He really is a stick, generally. For those who've got past this point and held, he's a stick. If you're looking at, it's Arsenal and City next, Cape.
You'd back him to still get a return in one of the two.
I'd also definitely back him to start twice.
Yeah.
Whereas I couldn't look at Nunes and Isak and have quite that confidence going into this week.
No.
So, again, if you were making it, you'd have been making it knowing, they're definitely both playing this weekend. So let it be, let it go. I think it'll probably be the best captaincy in Game Week 18 as well, with Sheffield United at home. So you definitely stick in. I think Diaby and Cash would be more concerning.
What's the situation with Cash then? Has he just lost his place?
So he's on
now?
4 yellows, which is also a problem.
'Cause I've got him, and I feel
Has he lost his place? No.
Okay.
But I think Leon Bailey's performances, I mentioned last week, I thought it was great when he came on against us. And I think I've always looked at him and felt erratic. I sit on that side that he played in the second half last week. And I kind of have an angle looking through, like the old Robin curler.
Yeah,
if someone comes off the right and they shape left-footed, like Bailey's goal yesterday, I've kind of got the angle of that to see it. And when he's stepping inside, you're thinking, there's something in his shape, the way he's doing it, his control, he's capable. And he scored that basically exact goal yesterday to do that.
Great finish.
So he might suddenly become one that comes on radar going into 18. Now, because of what they've got in the next 3, it's a last-minute job, I think. Any investment new in Villa, like if you didn't own Watkins, I'm not going to go and buy him back this week. No. Right? The only scenario for me buying him back is if Klopp goes tomorrow, actually, Darwin Núñez has done his hamstring. Yeah. Okay, we're going to have to suck it up and go back. Right?
Yeah, same.
Otherwise, it's not moving at the moment. So I think now for Villa, they're the actual wait to 18. So the 3 teams have got great fixture in 18 at Newcastle, Villa, Tottenham. Tottenham arguably is the one to attack first, because it's 3 home games in the next 4. Newcastle you can make a case for, but I think we have to be aware of the 5 fixtures in the close proximity. So I think really more Game Week 17 is more suitable. Villa's the last one.
Yeah.
Attack Villa in 18. Because although they're doing great, City, Arsenal and Brentford away is 3 rough fixtures.
Yeah.
And over that period, we might get a little bit more that tells us about what that team will be against Sheffield United in Game Week 18. Now, if Leon Bailey's in it, or if you think he's going to be in it, he might be a great one to go and attack. It might be by that we think Alex Moreno might be a good one to attack, who obviously started last Thursday in Europe. I think Bailey is the real impact on Cash that's concerning.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing, though. If they want to keep Bailey in the team, I think Ezri Konsa keeps playing right back. But they missed Boubacar Kamara yesterday, and what they like to do is shove him into the right back position and push Cash further forward, and then whoever's playing right midfield, which normally has been sort of John McGinn, goes into the central area and joins the midfield. Now, Bailey's not going to go into midfield, but he might do it where he moves into the front 2 and joins Watkins. That would be bad for Diaby. So there's a number of knock-ons here. Also, we could look at it and go, Bailey keeps playing and Cash gets left out for the next 3, and then we arrive at Sheffield United and Emery goes, I don't care, Sheffield United, I'm playing Matty Cash. That could even be the scenario. So I'm trying to give myself some space in terms of Aston Villa decision-making. So for me right now, Matty Cash is just sitting on that bench, almost third sub for me, actually, in forthcoming weeks. The one I'd be looking at as a replacement, by the way, for me personally, but I'd need some money elsewhere, is Porro.
Okay.
So I'd only be moving to another 18 player.
Yeah.
Also, that would then take me to treble Tottenham, which, say, if I wanted to take, say, a Brennan Johnson punt, who scored 3 times against Everton last season and looked much better yesterday, by the way, then that would be off the table. So, yeah, I think with Villa, it's a wait at the moment. And it also means largely what you've got, keep. What you haven't, don't get yet. But I also get there'll be plenty who've got Matty Cash and are sitting there with Kabore and Taylor as their full 5th defenders. Well, in that case, kids, it's sell.
Yeah. And any love for Bournemouth?
And I think, by the way, Porro would be my top shout.
Yeah, and what about Bournemouth? So obviously, they've got 7 points now in their last 3. Last-minute equaliser from Watkins here. And they've got a decent run coming up. Palace away, United away, Luton at home, Forest away, Fulham at home.
Yeah, with them as well, you look at the 17-18 fixtures, Luton at home, Forest away. I think it's probably more an assess for the next couple and come back.
Okay.
Now, obviously, for people who want to use Semenyo as a facilitator, crack on.
I can't remember how much he is.
They keep flipping between left and right-hand side, Semenyo and Tavernier.
Semenyo
it might be a
4.6 mil.
Yeah. And he's a far better asset than Archer. Even though Archie, you'd look at and go, yeah, he'll play. Semenyo's a bit of risk. It don't matter. That's a way better option. So if people want to use that as a facilitator, and it's not one that I would completely rule out myself, then yeah, that's absolutely fine. I think Justin Kluivert in midfield, 4.6 is fine. It kind of looked like he wasn't. I've seen very little of the game yesterday. Looked like he wasn't around the key moments so much. Dominic Solanke could have easily had a hat-trick yesterday on the bits I've seen this morning. And he's another great potential get. So if I've spoken about getting Watkins and Isak in for 18, well, let's just say something happens to Isak in the next couple of weeks, which unfortunately with his injury record is not impossible. It might be that I look at 17 and go, okay, Dominic Solanke, let's have that for 2 weeks, right? Of course, for me then in wildcard 19, I don't need to factor in, is Solanke worth more than Semenyo?
Yeah,
it's just, can you afford it?
Yeah,
I'll go with a number 9. So, but there'll be others thinking longer term. And I think both can very much be considered. The other interesting one is Kirkes, because Lloyd Kelly is out, we think, for the rest of the year. So Kirkes, who's been in and out of the team, will stay in it now over this period. That's a real wild card pick. But I tell you what, if you wanted a Bournemouth defensive one over this period, that would be the one.
Neil was big on him in the summer, wasn't he? So
yeah, I mean, I was he the only teenager to score 5 goals in European leagues or something last year as a defensive player. So I can't remember the stat. But yeah, I mean, he's capable. He ended up with one of the assists yesterday, I think, didn't he? So that would be the one. That's not your worst solution. Like if you're looking for a cash replacement and you can't go up to Porro and you're looking down, I don't mind that. But I think also psychologically, you probably don't want to play him in the next 2.
No.
So I do think it's probably game week 17. Have a look more, I think,
Cool.
They're playing much better. And those who did proper look at Iraola in the summer, I don't think are that surprised.
No. Well, we were saying it was...
We always said when the fixtures turned, judged them. Yeah. Then they had the really rough result at Everton and played badly. And then it was like, oh, shit.
I'm happy for them.
They were lucky to beat Burnley, but it was a turning point for them.
Yeah. Right, moving it on. So this was a chaotic game like many of the others. Chelsea 3, Brighton 2. Can't believe you content creators didn't big up Enzo Fernandez before it happened, his double-digit haul.
Sorry, mate. Are you sitting in front of a microphone?
Colwell forgetting who he was.
Are you sitting in front of a microphone?
I'm just a substitute.
You're a content... Listen, who the fuck's calling Sudge a content creator, mate? So, no, you're a content creator, pal.
Colwell obviously forgot he scored and celebrated against his old team and then just stopped halfway through. Don't know if you saw that. That made me laugh.
I didn't take much notice of it. I saw his interview after the game. He was quite apologetic. I saw that.
But yeah, and obviously a red card for Gallagher. So yeah, all of the action happening in that game.
Red cards can't be argued. They're both yellow cards. No doubt about that. But I should say Fabian Schär was lucky not to see red in that Newcastle United game.
Okay, I've not seen that incident.
Yeah, he's lucky. He's lucky. Definitely different referee, different day. Goes red card, definitely. I think Newcastle would have still won with 9, to be honest. What game are we talking about?
Chelsea-Brighton, yep.
So there aren't huge takeaways we can take from Chelsea yesterday because we knew the suspensions to James and Cucurella meant that they were probably going to have to play Disasai and Colwell as fullbacks. And I said that in a roundabout way, it might benefit them.
Okay.
And I think it did.
Yeah.
Even the fact that they went down to 10 men, they've ended up using, it looks like they used Ian Maatson as a right wing back and pushed Disasai and the rest along and played basically a 5-2-1 late in the game. But there's nothing to say that won't change. We would expect Reece James to come back in the team, right? I think that's the more likely one. But let's not be surprised if James and Colwell, both James and Cucurella come back in for Colwell and Cucurella.
All right.
Disasai. I've not had much sleep the last couple of days, I'm telling you. Disasai, Cucurella. This is great, isn't it? I think we can see what happened there with Disasai, can't we? But it could be Colwell plays left-sided centre-back with Chelsea. I know there's a lot are going to want to invest going to game week 16. I don't even know if the Manchester United game is going to give us true information.
No, but I wouldn't be shocked if
I wouldn't be shocked if they went with the big lads again, even in Everton in game week 16, for example. James is the one people still want, isn't it? So He probably plays at Old Trafford. It was a 1-game suspension. I spoke about it a lot last week. People can reference back to that because I've been talking too much. Palmer...
I was just going to ask, was that tactical? Because there were rumours on the Saturday night, right?
So there was rumours that he might have had an injury issue and wasn't 100%. For me, almost definitely comes back into the team.
Okay.
Particularly, obviously, Gallagher's suspended as well, right?
True.
I know Gary Mantle, our Chelsea correspondent, was making a comment on our Chelsea Slack channel last night that he thought Mudryk stayed on because there was no intention to play him at Old Trafford.
Okay.
So you would think Palmer comes back in. Enzo obviously stays with Caicedo in the two. Although they might use a different solution, which might be Palmer right, Sterling left. And ironically, now he's just scored twice. They might use Enzo as a 10 and play Ugochukwu if he's fixed. I think he wasn't in the squad himself yesterday. And Caicedo deeper. They might do that at Manchester United.
Why would they do that?
Pressing at the top end.
Okay.
So, again, I don't understand why Gallagher played on the right in the game at Newcastle because pressing off the ball is so good. So, the one benefit against United is Manu, given time, is a good little player, but they don't have anyone who can really hurt you from that position, Manchester United. Again, they bypass McTominay. It's more about if Bruno drops deeper in terms of the build-up. So, but if Chelsea want to put these players under pressure, I would have thought Enzo Fernandez is the best profile player to then play the 10.
Sure.
That said, they might be shattered after yesterday. They've had a long time against 10 men, and Brighton moved the ball well, right, and it will be taxing on the legs. So it might be one that the team selection at Manchester United might come down to fitness levels. But Palmer, for me, will definitely come in. He's still a good pickup for people in the next couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be concerned about it from that perspective. You can't help but look at Sheffield United home in Gameweek 17 and think, I want something.
Yeah, well, their run in general is good. It's really
but
good.
I think for me, like I'm thinking of getting Sanchez in 16. But I think for me, with the outfield players, I look at it enough as 3 games and go, okay, Sheffield United at home's great, but still Everton away and Wolves away. Like they're not easy. Like grouping it as fixtures is fine. But for me, I'm in wildcard in 19.
Yeah.
And I can add it then. And I'm also doing it at a period where that's in the middle of them playing Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday lunchtime, and a bit more informed of how many minutes players have played at Wolves on the Sunday before, for example.
Do you think on defensive assets for them, do you think Badiashile could be someone to keep an eye on? I saw a lot of Chelsea fans raving about his performance. His back-to-back starts.
Yeah, but
4.4.
I don't think we can read enough to say that he's definitely now first choice.
No. It was just more like they were so
information.
It was a very small bubble of people I saw.
We've got no idea. He's one of the big topics. What happens when Nkunku comes back? Right? Anybody who says they 100% know doesn't, because we've not seen Christopher Nkunku and Cole Palmer in the same team.
Yeah.
So we can reference pre-season and we can reference what we've seen since then, but we don't know how that works. And Nkunku is a multifunctional player who can play in a number of different forward positions. So he's going to be back at some point. And that fixture run suggests that it's a nice period to bring him back in, right?
Yeah.
We've had the last 2 weeks where we thought, he's probably going to be on the bench, and he hasn't been. So he's going to come back into this over this key period of those great fixtures. And we don't really know the impact of that. And so therefore, for me, the only offensive one still to look at would be Palmer.
Sure. Cool. Any more to add on that before we go on to the...
For Brighton, it's just the usual mess of trying to guess the lineup and... didn't help. I think De Zerbi did his presser on Saturday, and then it came out that Mitoma was a doubt. They'll rotate heavily over these forthcoming games. Have played Jack Hinshelwood at left back. He's a central midfield player, really. Dunk suspended this week for Brentford's not good.
I'm
Don't keep
nervous
clean
to play
sheets
them in
anyway.
a few weeks,
This is the thing with them, right? They could get well beat by Brentford. Who have they got in 16?
They have got Burnley at home.
Burnley at home. I wouldn't be surprised if it slipped up. You would expect them to win, but it wouldn't be a surprise. They never beat Palace. Sorry, Seagulls fans, in game week 18. And in the middle of that, they might go to the Emirates and win.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with
where
it.
That's where you're at with them.
They do, yeah.
It's worth saying that game at Arsenal was 3 days after their last Europa game and need to win it to win the group.
True.
So bear that in mind.
Yeah, and we've got PSV away that week where...
And the win in the group saves you 2 football matches.
Yeah, really
so
good point.
It is important.
Cool.
Their spacing, by the way, over Christmas is good, though. Just briefly.
Yeah, sure.
Because they play Palace on a Thursday, Tottenham on a Thursday, and then West Ham on a Tuesday.
Okay.
So over those 3 game weeks, they actually play first and in the first of the week and last. So if you think Chelsea got 3 games in 6 days, there's a spread for Brighton over 12.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Nice.
They'll still rotate though.
Yeah, 100%. But he might tell us in the press
I
who's
think
playing.
you just avoid. Like if you've got Pedro, it's a weekly guessing game and stuff. He's fine.
It's just a headache, isn't it?
You just never know.
Yeah.
You just never know.
On to the next one. It was...
Even Gross didn't start yesterday. I mean, seriously.
Oh, no. Yeah, next one was Liverpool 4, Fulham 3, and it was just bangers on bangers and bangers for Liverpool.
Yeah, it was.
I feel sorry for Trent that's gone down as an own goal. I mean, rightly so, but what a free kick.
I feel more sorry that it's a great free kick and then Alexis McAllister scored a far better goal. Just saying. But it's interesting. Liverpool have essentially scored 4 long-range efforts. Trent's not a long range, but there's enough bodies in the way that it's not a big chance, let's say, and it's brilliantly finished. Endo comes on, and there was a few of our Liverpool patrons were saying actually that change had a huge impact. Like you wouldn't have thought with 10 minutes to go and losing, bring on Endo for Gravenberch, but it stabilised it and it let Trent go a bit more.
Okay, nice.
That seems to be what they were saying. I've not seen a lot more of the game. I'm really hot now, Nico, by the way, but I feel like he's got to go on. It's interesting. I watched Match of the Day this morning and he was talking a lot about, you've got to move Trent into midfield now. What are you doing? Taking Szoboszlai out of the team?
Yeah, literally.
Are you playing it right back?
I also think with that whole thing of like put him in midfield, I think people don't get the whole idea of it's where people start and arrive into spaces, not where they. Yeah, it's a completely because we get it with Zinchenko a lot in Arsenal circles, and I'm like, it's a completely different.
He can go where he wants. From the little bits I've seen yesterday, he drops into the centre back position and stuff as well. Yeah, it allows him the freedom. He's free.
Yeah,
he's free on the ball. And I don't think, for me, what you move him into midfield and then what put Szoboszlai as the left, you could do it. Szoboszlai as the left-sided 8 is much more effective as the right-sided 8.
Yeah.
So, no, not massively keen on that. Salah, for me, I think is best captaincy for this game week.
Same. Got it, bust on him.
I don't think we could sit here and be 100% sure he starts.
Okay. I agree, it can't be 100%. It's just the close
proximity of the games.
Do you not think he's just one of those robust, like...
Yeah, I think so. It's what I would say. It's traffic light system. So if honestly, it's as simple as if the physios and the docs say to him, "Look, he's at risk," he won't play.
Yeah, of course.
Now I think that's more likely to happen for the Palace game than the Sheffield United game. But it's probably the most likely scenario is they go 3-4-0 up at Sheffield United. He's got involved. Take him off for 20 minutes to go. Oh no, I'm only getting 70 minutes. Listen, he's probably already done the damage. Yeah. Don't worry about it. I think he's the best captaincy this week. Núñez is way riskier from that perspective.
Yeah.
Because I think they'll know that Sheffield United will play quite deep, and admittedly Palace will as well, you would imagine. But Gakpo, they could easily use Gakpo as the 9 to drop off short and link the play and get Salah and Jota a bit narrower and higher off the ball. So Núñez from a captaincy perspective is probably a no, but I think Salah's best.
Any idea how Darwin got on in this game? Like I said, I've only seen highlights, so...
I mean, apparently all of the front 3 didn't play well, including Jota as well. And as I said, it's not if you look at that chance to have had goal, XG, etc., like it's fine, but they have ended up scoring 4, you could say, worldies, basically, has won them the game. And defensively, it didn't look right. So... as much as Trent scored and Trent got an assist, I'd be a little bit concerned, not for this week, but again, I don't see how you could go and buy over Tsimikas at 3.5 cheaper. Tsimikas has actually ended up, it's a little bit fortuitous, the assist for Trent. I think he's just trying to head it. I don't think he knows where it's going.
Jumping.
Well, to be honest, I think Dejan Kulusevski did that yesterday, and that was fine as well. So it wouldn't be a sell if you're on Trent at this minute, but I think it's one to look at going into 17-18 if you need to find money from somewhere. Kelleher didn't cover himself in glory, and yes, it's a 3.9 goalkeeper from one of the best teams in the league. It makes the
defence worse.
We should not be shocked about a team being weaker with their second choice goalkeeper in goal, and also in the case where Alisson is
one of the best shot stoppers in the world. It's I think that really feels like a detail that people just gloss over all the time, and I'm like, I don't get it. His
presence on many things, and I know he didn't have the best day at the Etihad himself last week, but
that's not the norm.
Yeah, he's probably the top goalkeeper around. On that as well, just a side note on Newcastle. Pope, one of Pope's really underrated skills is his sweeping ability. Mm-hmm. as in they can leave space and he'll come off his line.
Quite aggressive.
Think back to the red card against Liverpool last year where he cocked up. But he's
yeah.
The thing is with him, because he's not brilliant with his feet, we don't associate him in that. But actually, he does it really well.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dubravka will, and it might make the whole team deeper.
Okay, really good
so
point.
Bear that in mind. Yeah, Keller in goal doesn't make them better. And also, Joel Matip's been playing quite well and got injured yesterday. And I would suggest probably the rest of this month, he's probably... what price? Ibrahima Konate? Nico. Nico, replace Clayton. I've just sacked him off, mate.
I don't know.
He's 4 points something. I wouldn't buy him over Shimikas. I still think, in seriousness, like if you want something for 2 games, then yeah, fine, invest in Liverpool. I think there's every chance he doesn't play both games.
Konate is 4.9 mil.
So he's more expensive than Shimikas now. Forget it. But he'll probably play the next number. I wouldn't be surprised if Gomez played left back, maybe even tomorrow night. They might, mind you, they might take a view and think because of Michael Olise, play him again and then leave him out at Palace and play Gomez there against them. They might look at it more that way, maybe. Fulham played quite well. And I think they have this ability in some of the tougher games when you begin to doubt them. You know, they pulled a result off at your place earlier in the season. They lost very narrowly to Manchester United a few weeks ago. The Chelsea performance a few weeks ago caused a bit of an alarm because it didn't play the game like the intensity of what a derby should be. But that's a decent showing from them yesterday. And one thing with Fulham is we've been really worried about them scoring goals. Would have just scored 6 in the last week.
Yeah.
Now, it's worth saying Raul Jimenez still ain't got any of them. He didn't score yesterday, did he?
No, he didn't.
Sorry, I literally watched the highlights of this.
Deckled over Reed, Tete and Wilson. Your boy Wilson, he got a goal.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, go and buy Harry Wilson. Please don't do that. So I think Fulham probably not on agenda at the moment. They've got Newcastle away in 17. The other fixtures around it are okay. It's Burnley at home in 18. But, I mean, you've seen, like, you know, people asking about Willian after Monday and then he doesn't start yesterday.
Yeah.
When they're all fit, there's enough cooks there to not have reliability. I know Castagnet was being tipped up a lot by a lot of the prediction models a couple of weeks ago. He didn't play yesterday.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you weren't starting him at Liverpool anyway. But is that Kenny Tete back in the team now? I don't know. And I know there's a lot of people said Anthony Robinson played well yesterday. You know, he's an interesting one, Robinson. I thought he played really well at Tottenham as well.
He's done well against Saka before as well.
Yeah. Every time I see him and I think, I really like him, the next time I watch him afterwards, he always has a bad game, I swear.
Yeah, maybe he's just got that ability against certain profiles of like the top quality to
and I think from that perspective, seriously, if you wanted to invest in Castagnet, Robinson or Tete, either in game week 18, for example, for Burnley at home, my take would be you want one of the 3 of them injured before it comes around to know which 2 are going to play. Because you would prefer that rather than going for Tim Ream. The goalkeeper, of course, is absolutely fine. Is the heating broke, Nico? It's overheated. Nice. I do feel warm enough, in fairness.
I'm a little bit chilly, but yeah.
What we got left?
We've got 2 more games. We've got West Ham and Palace and City and Spurs. But just one final thing on Liverpool. Obviously, it's taken them second in the table, given City's result.
Are they?
Yeah. So
I've not even looked at league table, I swear.
2 points behind Arsenal. And that's obviously potentially shaping up to be a huge clash in game week 18.
They won't win no league defending some of those.
Well, this
like
is
yesterday. But then they just need to ride the period without Alisson, particularly, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if it's just Sheffield United Palace, they probably ride it okay, I would imagine.
Exactly. But yeah, Sky Super Sunday game.
West Ham Palace.
1-1 on the telly.
So
lovely stuff.
Yeah. So Bowen played, which shouldn't shock anyone. Played through the middle. I was listening on the radio yesterday. I got really annoyed. Whoever it was, Ricky put talk shite on, whatever. Anyway, whoever was reporting from West Ham was like, West Ham have no recognised forward. It's like, have you been watching them lately, mate? Like, Bowen's playing through the middle. There's not anything I can take away from this massively because I've literally just watched the 3 minutes or so that was on Match of the Day this morning.
Sure.
Obviously, it's a huge error from Mavropanos for the goal. Zuma, we think missed out for personal reasons yesterday.
Okay.
I'm sure Ben Dinnery had tweeted that. Apologies if I've got that wrong. And I don't know what the circumstances there. He notoriously plays pretty well against my team, Kurt Zuma. But he does notoriously play very well against Harry Kane specifically.
Okay, so it could be a different kettle of fish now, yeah.
Yep, could be. I get the vibe, and it's not to say that it will happen, but I think West Ham fans are a little bit concerned about that game on Thursday night.
See, that's interesting because
they're not defending well.
No.
And with them, there's a basic that should happen with a David Moyes team where it does.
Is there anything tactically you've seen and why they're not defending well, or is it just people?
I think a lot of it's individual mistakes.
Okay.
I also think I'm not convinced that the goalkeeper inspires confidence.
Yeah.
Like I think he's fine. He again.
I don't know because he goes from talking about how much he's been brilliant for them and stuff, right?
He would say he's been one of their players of the year. He has moments where there's certain ones and you think that's a great save, and then the next one you think I think he should have got that.
Okay, interesting.
So I think he kind of balances himself out where he can produce the worldie, but there's also some. I think he can be a bit slow to get down sometimes. I'd stop laughing as soon as I said that. I didn't want to look at you because I knew you were going to be glaring me out, mate. Honestly, get yourself out of the gutter, mate. Really, fuck's sake. Yeah, Areola owners keep. Don't invest in anything else. West Ham at the moment. Bowen, as I said, I'm probably going to have to bench him this week. Not because I want to.
Yeah.
I've just
got a strong squad.
Probably the weakest of the good assets I've got going into this week. I know the inevitability of what happens if I do that. It's dangerous. He's a 9, and I know we give teams opportunities, and he'll have one in the game. But you saying Martinelli's playing, I can't leave that out. I can't,
in my opinion, that's not a fact.
I can't leave Bumo out against Brighton. I can't. Whereas we might have enough of it, and West Ham's good moments might all just come from set pieces.
Yeah. West
Ham are very capable of beating my team on Thursday night and only having like 25% of the ball.
Yeah.
Because from set pieces, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. But if we can keep ourselves in their half, that negates it quite a lot. And I think
you feel quite confident you can get at them based on what you've seen of them defensively.
Well, I know more than some of the recent games I've seen. What I'm going to get with the game on Thursday is we will control it.
Yeah.
We will control it. And it might suit West Ham a little bit more to, Suj talks about this a lot, not have the ball, sitting deeper. But with my team, there's so much fluidity and movement with the stuff that the fullbacks do, etc., that it's going to pull them apart, I think. So, yeah, I would go into the game confident. Not to I think we'll smash them. No. But I think we'd win the game 3-2 or something like that at the moment, probably. Oh. And both West Ham goals from set pieces, possibly. So I say that, I think, maybe West Ham scored twice and I might bench Bowen. Like, it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't make
honestly.
Sense when you say it like that.
No, it doesn't. So I might even change my mind on that. We might give him a slapping, though. That is possible as well. On Palace, Chris Richards played central midfield. Doucouré is going to be such a mess for them. Mess. It's a mess. He's going to be a miss. So it looks like Jefferson Lerma played a lot higher yesterday. And I think that was possibly to try and pin West Ham back a little bit. So he played right at the midfield 3, which was a surprise. I know there was conflicting opinion on whether Richards played well or not. Will Hughes played to the left of him. He's a centre-back by trade, right? Mm-hmm. So whether that sticks, I'm not sure. Palace might look to invest in that area as well. But I do think, even with the Bournemouth home games, I mean, if you had the likes of just hypothetically, you had, I don't know, Shimikas, Porro, Saliba, Gay as an example. Like, you ain't playing Gay this week anyway.
No.
So I think we're at stage most scenarios where Palace players become expendable now.
Yeah, agreed.
Eze, they reckon is going to try and train this week, but Roy Hodgson didn't sound confident.
Yeah, such a shame for him. He's doing well.
Doucouré is going to be a huge miss.
Yeah. Right, and on to the final game of the game week. Man City 3, and your lot, Tottenham Hotspur, that is 3. You were there?
I was.
Verdict?
Just. Playing trains and automobiles yesterday, just without the planes. Verdict, very proud from the Tottenham perspective, obviously, because, listen, let's be very real. City could have easily been 4-5-1 up at half-time. There was some laughable moments. I mean, the Doku effort, when he hits the bar and post in the one shot. My dad looked at me and I looked at him. We both just burst out laughing. It was like, we're getting away with it at the moment, but we know what's coming. He's on the second goal is so poor from us defensively. I think they try and play offside inside the penalty box and Ben Davies doesn't quite get the telegram message and goes in deeper, and it's a mess. But City can do that to you. And City offensively were good. I thought they were great in that first half, City.
Did you say specifically defensively?
No, offensively.
Oh, okay.
purely because I've had a feeling for a long time that of the top teams, they are, for me, they're easier to play against than you.
Yeah, I agree with that, which
And
I never thought
what I mean by that is it's not easier playing Arsenal than Manchester City necessarily, but I mean in terms of how you play through teams. And your ability. Like, my dad said to me even half hour in, he's like, when we get in the other end, it's like we can hurt them. I'm like, yeah, because they're vulnerable. Their press, though, I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
The way they press. And it's interesting, the two best teams in this league, yourselves and City, I thought pressed fantastically well in the games against Tottenham. They were so aggressive. It did help that you've got Emerson Royal labouring, and I know he's got a bit of stick for the way he played yesterday. City just absolutely targeted him every time he had the ball.
Was he the one that gave it away?
And defensively, he was fine.
For Foden's goal? Or I can't remember specifically.
I don't think it was. Okay. I can't remember. There's so much happened. I can't remember, to be honest. I think probably Romero comes in for him.
Okay.
Because I think for Ange, first and foremost, is about what you do with the ball. And Ben Davies' distribution at times, even yesterday, was pretty good. Like he can be patient and find a pass that is line breaking. Emerson Royal can keep it. He can't play a line breaking pass, right? Romero obviously can as well. So I think Romero comes in. I wouldn't be diving into Davies, by the way. And I know a few are going to probably ask that because he is dirt cheap. Find the extra for the two wing backs is absolutely the advice on that. And for me, it's definitely Porro over Udogie. That hole, I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. And it was never likely to be yesterday, right?
My prediction is Forest away, that hole.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get to him. And it's been bothering me pretty much every week since the week after I bought Udogie, basically. It's been bothering me every week since Gameweek 4, actually, to be precise. I've been like, oh my God, I've got to get him. And just never been able to get there. And with Romero back, we will be better defensively. Yeah. We will also be better offensively with Romero back. That will have a big, big difference. Because City were trying to shunt it all game long into the Emerson side, right? Now, that's not so easy. Teams might do it to Davis, and they might actually find that Ben Davis' distribution is better than what they think. So I think Davis gets the nod from that perspective. I would imagine Richarlison will probably, with a few days training, probably come in for Hill. Kulusevski in that 8 role probably sticks. He's the only player to score an assist in the same game at the Etihad against the Guardiola team.
Ever?
Yeah.
He's the only
player to do it in two different
someone
goal and assist against Guardiola at the Etihad.
Yeah, okay.
And the other time he played there, he scored as well. No assist. It's weird how some players and teams, he won't score for 2-3 months probably. I still think he just puts his head in and closes his eyes.
You did say that,
I do, yeah.
And it kind of Simicast-esque.
It looks like it comes off his shoulder a bit. Like we was quite high behind the goal near the corner flag.
Were you safe from the limbs?
Was I safe from limbs? Was everyone else safe from me?
Have you got any broken bones?
It was everyone else safe from me. No. My knuckle still hurts from when Decky scored against Sheffield United, and I'm not joking. No, it was good, obviously. But it was a shock when it hit the net.
Yeah. You got that vibe from the crowd as well.
It was like a weird... The ball took a weird spin. And then when it hit the bar, like you hit it at the bar, and it almost was like... It's going to come out. Yeah, from our angle. And I think it might have sounded like we celebrated a bit late. There was also shock, right?
Yeah.
So, very proud of the way we played in the second half. I think we had about 56% of the ball in the second half. And I know City are winning and game state matters and stuff. That is still some going. And it was interesting that I looked at the clock and there was 60 minutes gone. And I was thinking how I felt against City to how I felt against Villa.
So 60 minutes, the score was 2-1.
City winning 2-1, and I think Villa must have been 2-1 up by that stage as well, or near enough abouts.
And how did you feel?
But I remembered, my exact feeling was I felt way more confident getting a result yesterday than I did against Villa.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if that's how we'd started playing in the second half, and I think against Villa we fatigued massively. I spoke last week about basically only Kulusevski and Porro looked like the only two players that had anything left in the tank.
Sure. And
I've been critical of Brennan Johnson, particularly recently, like it's his run at the end that assists the goal. I thought his work ethic was absolutely great. Yes, he's much better. I think there's a lot for him to improve, but much, much better. When you play him over the top, you ain't catching him.
Yeah,
he's rapid. Oh, he really is. There's a lot to improve for him to be a top-level player, but rapid. So I think Kulusevski in that 8 position might stick. I know a few people are going to kind of ask about Lo Celso now.
Would you say, is he a fantasy option there in the
Kulusevski?
Yeah.
I think what they'll probably do against West Ham is I think they'll probably play Richarlison on the left, move Johnson back to the right, and just play Kulusevski in that role. You look at the two games and you'd arguably say maybe yes, but I think with him it would only be a short term.
Yeah.
And I guess for wild cards you could look at it, but I don't think I'd make the case to pay for him over Johnson. I don't think.
Sure.
Not worth the extra, I think. And I would still rather go to people like Gordon, I think.
Okay.
A few people may want to know about the Celso.
Yeah, my mate's actually gone on him. He's got 2 returns from him.
I did tweet a couple of weeks ago, keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
Because he's 4.8 or something, I think.
I'm not sure. I can
he's
find out for you.
so cheap. But that's less of an option, I think. Even despite the fact he scored in the last two, they're both long-range efforts from the edge of the box. The goal is beautiful, obviously, yesterday.
Right, he's 4.8.
But he's obviously dropping very, very short and linking the play. Completed every pass yesterday, 100%, 40. That at the Etihad is, particularly the way they pressed, that is mad impressive. There was a lot of frustration around me about, I'm holding on to the ball too long. And that's because the rest of the team's quite quick. Mm-hmm. What you understand is he's the one with the intelligence on the ball. He's not Maddison, so you just got to accept him for what he is. They weren't fucking moaning when he scored, by the way. They stopped completely. It was singing his name straight afterwards. For City, it's now a few draws when they've been winning in big games. Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea. And I think it may get sorted quite quickly, actually. I think we've made a lot about Rodri, and Rodri is going to be a miss on Wednesday.
Yep.
And that's why I think they may well get beat at Villa. John Stones being back will be monster for Manchester City.
When is he due back? Do you know?
Well, he's been subbed the last few games, he is back, but obviously not to the extent that they think they can obviously start him in a game that's going to be high intensity like that. Could they play him in midfield against Villa? Be a big risk. They might. I mean, that's the best solution to not playing Rodri. He is unbelievable, by the way.
He's so good, yeah.
He's a joke footballer. You appreciate that so more when you watch someone like that live in terms of his awareness, his positioning. What a top player.
Ability as well.
It was interesting when Foden got taken off, by the way. It wasn't a lot, and I don't know if it was audible on the TV, but there were a few boos.
Okay.
That Guardiola brought on Lewis rather than Foden. And because at that stage, obviously, it was 2-2.
A few minutes after the goal, yeah.
And it did, on the face of it, it did appear strange. Suddenly, they went up a notch with Lewis. What a talent he's going to be as well. I think, is he part of City's best 11 at the moment? No. Foden, of course, by the way, with this Doku injury, and this applies to Alvarez as well, he's going to keep playing. Mm. So, I mean, Foden and Alvarez, with Grealish suspended, and we don't know the Doku prognosis at the moment, there's certainty is to play at Villa. So, like, for me as an Alvarez owner, I'm not moving that at the moment.
Would you consider, like, just assess the Villa game and then a 2-week punt before the blank? Luton
for like a Foden?
On a Foden or someone?
I'd love that. For those who want a free hit in game week 18, I think that sort of thing should be right near the top of your consideration.
Like yourself who are going to wild card in 19, right?
Yeah, but if you're free hitting in 18, then you have an awareness of afterwards and not just before, right? So if someone like me who's dead ending into 18, I don't need to think about beyond. Whereas if you're, say, free hitting in 18, you can obviously load up on City for the brilliant 16, 17, 19, 20 fixtures. Even if the double doesn't happen, it's a phenomenal run of games. Now, if Doku's out for a sustained period, then the probability is quite simple. The probability of Foden and Alvarez getting more minutes has just gone up, right?
Yeah.
Now, could they use Rico Lewis as a 10? You betcha. Yes, they could, by the way, particularly in some of the more straightforward fixtures.
But they will, though?
I definitely think he could. I think Guardiola thinks that's what he is,
Really?
Yeah, in the long term, yeah. I think he does.
Okay.
I think that's what he sees him as rather than a fullback. I think he sees him as someone who eventually, and we have to remember how young he is, someone eventually who will play in a higher position. I think defensively, though, I wouldn't go buying him, by the way. I think defensively, they're a complete ignore till John Stones is fit. And I also think there'd be a complete ignore just generally anyway unless John Stones is fit, and that's the one I'd want. And Manchester City, if John Stones doesn't start, and I think he probably doesn't, without Rodri as well, and Grealish's control, and Doku's ball carrying, he's going to have some real difficulty on Wednesday night. Just a quick one for free hitting, because I think there's a few teams that stand out a little bit more if you are. City's 1, right? So if I look at my fixture difficulty, 15 to 22, without the game week 18 fixtures, City are miles clear. Chelsea's good anyway, we know that. Wolves, who play Chelsea in 18, it looks even better for them, good run. Arsenal, because you go to Liverpool, looks like a really good run. So if you wanted to go that double defensive for Arsenal, for example, I don't want to see it at Anfield. But if you're free hitting 18, you don't have to, right? Yeah. Liverpool as well, because obviously they play Arsenal. Brighton, not bad. Brentford, obviously, as well. But they're the real ones. If you're free hitting 18, I think you should be working towards treble Man City. And I think at the moment it's probably treble offensively.
Yeah, okay. And did you captain Haaland in this week?
Yes.
Yeah. He obviously missed a sitter, didn't he?
Yes. I mean, he's tweeted WTF.
I've seen that.
What
do you think's going to happen?
Well, that was my reaction to the misses. I mean, the one that he missed when Bernardo put on a plate from...
That's the one I was talking about, yeah.
Staggering.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
It's staggering for him, by the way.
Yeah.
Most good footballers should score.
But with there was a defender there.
Yeah, but with him, you don't think for a second he's gonna miss.
He just kind of dragged it a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, as I said earlier, I think his reaction is way over the top at the end of the game in terms of, like, his teammates would be looking at that and going...
What do you make of the refereeing decision to... Well, how he refereed that.
No, I actually think
Grealish running in.
Yeah,
in the final
should
minute
City have had a penalty for a shirt pull? I've heard some rumours about that. I've not seen the incident at all.
I've not seen it, to be honest.
But I'd heard that. But as it wasn't shown on the Match of the Day highlights, I'm guessing probably not. Mind you, there was a lot to show from the game. Admittedly, I get that. Yeah, the cock up with the through ball is really bad. I quite like him as a referee. I'd said that I thought he was the most improved referee in the league last year. He'll get, unfortunately, by association, the Diaz goal.
Yeah.
He was the referee, but it ain't his fault. No. He wasn't working in the VAR room. He's literally got nothing to do with that. Yesterday, that is a huge, huge error.
What do you think he was thinking?
I can only think that he thinks that the ball's gone to Porro. Like he's seen some...
just misjudged it.
He's seen some sort of illusion, I think. No, I think, genuinely, because you can't explain it. Because he goes to blow, because Haaland gets wiped out, right? It's definite yellow card from Emerson Royal. Haaland gets wiped out, so and he's also heading back towards goal. Because this man is such a beast, right? It's like he slides off the turf and bounces back up in one movement, and he's off. And he's got it, and he actually takes the whistle away from his mouth. Then Haaland plays the pass, like a Bergkamp-esque through ball. And maybe there was the shock. He was like, Haaland's tried to play a ball over 20 yards. That's a bit uncommon. I just think he must have thought that Grealish wasn't getting it, which it's always easy for us with the perspective. You're on the ground.
Yeah.
For me, it's the biggest bugbearer, though. Who don't play advantage is nothing pisses a football fan off more. Mm-hmm. It really pisses me off.
Same.
And when it happened at the time, literally, I'm standing going, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it benefited my team. What I would add, though, is two things.
Yeah, go on.
One, I think Emerson Royal would have got him, as in Grealish.
That, yeah.
I think would have got him.
You can't say for fact,
but I think would have got him. Because it's not like a direct one-on-one where there's only one player chasing him. He couldn't. What you'd want to do is run across a player, but there's another two players either side as well, so you couldn't do that, because then you'd run into one of them. So I think he'd have got. If he didn't, there's also no guarantee he would have scored.
Yeah.
Like there's not a high XG in that moment. And actually, even if you look, Emerson Royal, literally, he completely stops. Is it a monumental error? Am I like condoning it? No, whatever. I think it's a shame, because I actually think he's one of the most improved referees, but he's a mad error. He's seen something there. He must think that Grealish is not getting the ball. That's what I'm saying. He must see something. There's no reason why you do it.
I've seen. I want your opinion on. I've seen a few people asking, "Do you think Haaland could get like retrospectively done for his reaction and stuff?"
It's a possibility.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
I don't really know what the rules are on stuff like that with players.
I don't know. To be honest, one of our patrons asked this morning. I said, "Well, look, he was booked on the pitch for his reaction." Which I think was right from my take, miles away in the ground. I say miles away, it's closer than Suj would normally be at West Ham, obviously. But he looked like he coming quite aggressively, so you're going to get booked. So then he gets dealt with on the pitch. After the game, I don't think he's under any responsibility to have to shake the referee's hand or...
No.
And to be honest, if he went in the same manner again, like referees have the power to book after the game and do a second yellow or do a straight red. We've obviously seen the case recently with Lewis Dunk. Spoke out of turn again, got sent off, right? So it's not something that like never happens. Yeah, he was just auditioning for his Chelsea move, right? Because he knows they hate Anthony Taylor. We don't know, something could have got said in the tunnel afterwards in terms of a report like that. On the tweet, like I don't know, he can get done for typing WTF.
No. But is it not... Yeah, I don't know. It's the whole thing about speaking out against...
Yeah, people know what it means, but like...
He's not directly...
No, he's not... You know, for kids looking at Twitter or whatever, like... Okay, if you already know what WTF means, then Erling Haaland tweeting it is not gonna...
Yeah.
And he's not actually said, WTF to the referee. He's just tweeted WTF. So
yeah.
I don't know how you could put it on him and say, we know that's the intention.
Yeah.
But you can't.
No, you
It'll
can't.
be like the 115 charges, right? You have to prove what's happened against Manchester City. So I think he probably wouldn't. That said, I think it's more about whatever happened on the pitch and maybe in the tunnel afterwards. If they want to give him a proper charge, then there's every chance he does look at a suspension. If he gets suspended, and I'm aware of it ahead of a deadline, then it's bye-bye, see you later.
Yeah.
For me, it would be too short-term where I'd just have to go, be quite straightforward, just be Watkins back and Salah in, I think.
Yeah.
For me.
Cool. That's a wrap. That was a bumper episode, so we've done an hour and 56 minutes.
Oh, no questions, there's no time.
Yeah,
sorry.
But you do need to tell people what the schedule is, and selfishly, I need to know as well, because I have no idea what it is.
Okay, 2 COTCs the next 2 days. So we've got Aston Villa, Manchester City, as said, with Lee Jackson, Jonny Pringle. We'll have that out early for you tomorrow morning, so you've got that in plenty of time before the deadline. COTC Wednesday as well, with Gary Robinson and Neil Grover to discuss Manchester United. Bournemouth, we'll obviously touch on their games Wednesday night as well. Bournemouth play Wednesday night. Crystal Palace, and obviously United play Chelsea. I know it's after the deadline, so we will approach it more towards a game week 16 perspective. That means the Sky Fantasy Football podcast this week will be on Thursday. Friday, Game Week Review podcast again, discussing all the midweek games. Tottenham and West Ham go last on Thursday night this week.
That'll be fun.
So can you watch Everton Newcastle for me? Would be really, really handy, because neither me or Sudge will be watching it.
Yeah, sure.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, quite
Thanks
like that game.
for donating your time. I might try and catch the start of it, at least to see how it starts tactically, maybe. But I'll try and watch as much as I can of these games this week, because they're obviously all available here. Patreon content. We got differential show game week previews tomorrow and on Friday. Q&A today. Wednesday, you're joining me. We'll do a bit of tot and arse now, unfortunately, because Tudge just got toothache or something similar. Ask James stream will be for patrons this week as well. As a reminder, basic plus tier patrons get all the podcasts this month. Intermediate plus tier patrons get all of the additional content this month, which does include Talking Tactics today, which are recorded on Saturday night because I've got no time this week, and we'll include later this week away days from the Etihad tomorrow. And there's going to be some funny stories on that Tot and Arse this week. Honestly, the escapades to get home. It's not been the first time with Ricky, and it probably won't be the last time. But fella, I love you, mate. Cheers, pal. Because if you're enjoying this podcast, listening to it or watching it, let me tell you, if it weren't for Ricky, you wouldn't be having it today. It got us home somehow.
Cool.
That's it, I think.
So
support the show at www.patreon.com/planetfpl.
Stuff.
Deadline stream also tomorrow on YouTube, 5 p.m. UK time, and I will be looking after my son while doing that as well. So let chaos ensue.
Yeah, it is chaos indeed. Right.
I've already bought him. Mr. Chaos.
Oh, yeah, I was like, who's that? Yeah, Darwin. Score a bloody goal. Right, that's a wrap. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Play it your way. Remember, 6 p.m. UK deadline tomorrow. Cue music, please, man-child. It's 6, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6.
Well, I think it is.
Cheers, Nico. Okay, that's way too long.
That was fucking long. Jesus Christ.